You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Perfections, ooh, Sin City, Montana, Coke Boys, ooh, we run the city, homie tryna keep up, ooh, they going broke, I'll finish your career, ooh, get a rope,
Warning, 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 warning.
dope money, ooh,
That Montega
in the spot, getting dropped, ooh,
that's hard labor.
in the club, popping bottles,
Yeah, we blowing that sour.
handful of real niggas,
Rest of these niggas cowards.
how you want it,
How you want it?
hands gun or the knife,
Soon as your man see the barrel,
he gon' run for his life,
bullets flying.
bullets flying.
No, notorious. No, notorious.
Oh my God, really? Really,
What's
Billy?
up? We're also waiting on Rifle. He said this time is perfect for him too. Hopefully, Black and Red Pill Philosophy also show up because I sent them a link in too. Yeah, what up?
What up?
Welcome back to another Bleeding Edge Red Pill. This is Notorious BTG. Reward for $1 million, but we will accept chicken nuggets.
Yeah. You know they'll do it for the chicken nuggets.
Yes. Red
Side
Pill
of macaroni and cheese.
Red Pill win the most interesting man in the sphere, in the O sphere.
Oh,
Give the
I'm
people
not
a
that
shout out.
interested. Yeah, how y'all doing today? I mean, I'm not that interesting. You know, I'm just another boring man. You know, your everyday average.
We
Bloke.
also got Tico, where's my stimulus check trend? Red Pill,
I don't know about that now, but anyway.
man of the hour.
The most hated man in the manosphere.
The most hated man. The most hated man in the manager. I'll talk about that later. And then we got me, Armin Yammer. Sometimes I hit the fail on the head. But this is another deep dive into talking about the red pill. We'll see. We got Hulk Smash and another red pill man more and more daily from D-Man before the live stream starts. Thank you, D-Man. Oh my God, just giving all the love in the comment section. But yeah. So what's been going on in the your guys' neck of the woods?
Oh man, you want to go first, Tico?
Well, I just got in touch with somebody from who used to live in Illinois, and he was asking me about why am I in Illinois. He goes, his is family. I go, pretty much the same thing, family.
What?
Well, my children's family. So technically, it is my family.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Your family okay?
Yeah, they're good. Everybody's good.
Billy, what about you? How's the family going over there?
My kid was ill recently. She took Friday off school. I was bugging her, like, come on, get ready, go to school. And she's like, no, I'm dead. Well, she wasn't saying that, but she's like, oh, no, I'm too tired. I'm like, what? Get your ass up, kind of thing. Until school time, the bell rang, and it's like, I think she actually is ill. And then she spent the whole day just basically in and out of sleep, not drinking, not eating. Got me really worried.
Son of a. Yeah.
By the evening, I slept on the floor in her bedroom, so I was really aching like an SOB in the morning. And she was.
Yeah, we can't do shit like that no more. We're getting kind of old, Billy.
Yeah.
What, sleep on the floor? I was like, I'm like only like a year out from that, doing that. I might have to go back to that here pretty soon.
Well, she woke up like 2 o'clock in the morning and was like, I want breakfast. So it's kind of like, well, at least you're eating now, but it's 2 in the morning. So she got to experience some midnight or late night TV. So we kind of watched the end of, that movie, The Rock.
Uh-huh.
So we watched that.
Nice. That's a good
Quite-
movie, by the way.
Wow.
Probably not good for children, but it's a good
No.
movie.
Well, in the middle of the night, it's not going to be anything really PG. So, but I was relieved to see that, so a good sleeping comatose did her wonders, I suppose. So she's doing a lot better.
That's good to hear.
Oh,
So
excuse me.
yeah,
Awesome. All right, and Wind, how are you doing, man?
I'm
You,
doing all right. All
that's
right,
good.
I got a phone call from and got a lot of things put into perspective. I mean, apparently, like I said, found out Chico's last podcast kind of helped kind of open my eyes a bit.
What
The one,
Which
the
podcast?
one?
one that the one that said if the person ain't got your if the person ain't got your number, they weren't interested in you in the first daggone place, or
If
if
they
you
don't
ain't
got your
got their number,
yeah.
and it basically put a lot of
Interesting.
things into
And
perspective.
what context? What context did that perspective
Don't worry
enter
about
in?
it. Don't worry about it.
No, all
Don't
right,
worry.
cool.
I'll tell you after the live stream's over.
Totally fine. But yeah, so yeah, what's up, guys? It's been a week and a lot of stuff has happened. Me personally, I've just been grinding out. I'm like really excited. I'm just gonna have to plan a lot because I have like a pretty heavy week work ahead of me. But I'm here now. It's great to be here. Great to be like in the presence of the Red Pill people that want to actually talk and do thinking activities. Um, somebody, it's kind of a joke, but somebody was like talking to me at my job the other day about UFOs, and I just thought it was just like it's just crazy that people still talk about that. But in a way, the red pill is kind of like, I feel like part of it is like rooted in that truther community. So I think part of the reason why he comes and talks to me is because I have crazy hair, but the other part is because of that that like I look like the guy from Ancient Aliens, the dude, the dude off the meme where he's just like alien.
Oh yeah.
So part of it is just my approachable, crazy disposition, but I also think a lot of it is what we've talked about in the past is kind of like a primer for just like talking about the Illuminati and government stuff and conspiracies and UFOs.
Well, yeah.
And yeah, so that's like the first topic is about skepticism. I think it's a very necessary part of the manosphere. Yeah, and I'm willing to, and it's like change my mind, because I think that there's a lot of people that I guess are very skeptical, or I would say fall on a more severe range of skepticism than me personally. And there's a lot of activity that's just like rooted in just seeing the holes and flaws in everything. And I wanted to dissect that more. Like how much of that is part of the red pill, just going around dissecting people and tearing
That
apart
is the
their
red pill.
realities. Huh? That
That
is the
is the
red
red
pill.
pill.
It is just investigating and like
Yeah.
Critical
Understand.
thinking industry.
yeah. Because I heard somebody, Psyche Soap, he said last week about like red pill bliss, and I'm like, there's only a certain demographic of people that find bliss in going in and finding the truth. Most people find bliss through ignorance, you would say. So, I mean, like, what part of ignorance is there in red pill if you can have this red pill bliss, or is that a different phenomena entirely that you're experiencing? And we got
Before you
Tico.
cut me off. Before you cut
Oh,
me off.
the audio. Sorry. I didn't mean to. It was the
Before
audio
you cut
issue.
me off, I was about to explain that to you what it was.
Mhm.
But the interesting thing about the red pill is when it comes down to it, it's all about investigating and seeing things for what it is. It's kind of like how they say read between the lines. That
Mhm.
that phrase, or there's more to what there's pay attention to what she does, not what she says, or your actions speak louder than words type thing, or things along the lines of that. All those things are small phrases or small schisms for the red pill, for all intents and purposes, the best way to put it. The neat thing about the red pill, when you actually take it and actually and take it on and soak in it, you realize that a lot of the stuff that people were saying to you is not what they actually mean, or that what they mean is they don't ever really mean what they say. There's very few people that actually say what they mean and mean what they say, and there's not a whole lot of people in this world that do. You actually start seeing that with the red pill. You start seeing how women act towards you versus how they act when you're not around. You see all this stuff for all intents and purposes. It'd be like, it's kind of like the one saying that I always like to say. It's not what you do when everybody's looking, it's what you do when nobody's looking. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's nonetheless pretty much base red pill for all intents and purposes.
And this is something that I learned, that I was told all throughout my Marine Corps career. It's doing the right thing even when nobody's looking. That pretty much that goes hand in hand. Like, I mean, I was taught to do that as a kid, but it was solidified in the Marine Corps, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a large part of the what other people see when they look into the masters, they see a lot of what men in the master do when everyone's looking, and they wonder to themselves like what they actually do when they're not online, when the eyes aren't on them, or when they're not. And again, that's the thing, there are a lot of the people like down at the bottom, they don't really get the views. So I've heard, it's kind of like the smaller channels, there's less risks, whereas like the bigger you get, the more you have to you really have to stick by what you say, or not, or like live by the code that you like have to, or you have to at least make it look that way.
Well, and the sad part about that is a lot of the bigger channels, well, not all of them, but a decent chunk of them typically don't really live by the mantra that they say. Mm-hmm. It's sad, but it's true. I mean, there's very few people with large numbers that actually are about people and helping people, and less about the money and more about helping other people, sadly. There's very few people that's at the top that actually does that. The sad part about that is it's one of those things where you start understanding it through the red pill lens, who's real and who's fake. It's kind of like the saying in the streets, real recognize real. Like, you typically know, and when I walk in a room, pretty much everybody knows that, okay, yeah, he's a motherfucker that you probably don't want to fuck with, or he's probably a motherfucker that you want on your team, basically. So it's one of those things with me. Whereas with Wen, it's like, is he a serial killer or is he a hick?
A serial killer or a hit?
There's in both of those archetypes, there's this mystery, but with Wind, it's like you want to ask him questions because it's almost like he's willing to talk.
Yeah.
Whereas with you, there's like a boundary.
Yeah, there's a boundary that people don't cross with me. Whereas in real life, people would actually talk to Win. Whereas people would try to not talk to me in fear of like I might, rob them, beat them, or kill them.
It's just like the one day when you're not at work, or 1 or 2 days, that's when everybody's like dogging on you. But when you show up, that's when they say a bunch of positive stuff to your face, kind of, or like they take that time where you're not there to kind of like, get all of their punches in. And yeah, like I've seen a lot of people be like, look at certain archetypes around me in the Ticosphere and be like, that person's fake, or that person starts drama, or that person is is lost. And I think that that comes from an individual person's like right to question things. Like they don't ever have to take anything at face value. But I think like the consistency of anybody's content should give them the confidence or the self-esteem to be like, you know what, there's going to be people out there that are like that, and regardless, I still have to keep being me to the best of me. And therein lies that's what the feeling is of streaming. We got Rifle in the studio.
What's up, guys?
Yeah,
the whole gang is here now.
Apparently Demon sees me as a merc.
What happened?
Oh, that's interesting. D-Man said that Wind is a merc. That's crazy,
No,
right? With the
actually-
military, now that we have
Actually, no.
right
Actually, I'm actually the merc. Wynn's actually the
Mercenary in the
uniform
wind.
he wishes
is
he was
is what's
He's been trying to get me to he's been trying to get me to hook him up with the
well,
the
he's
firm,
fit.
basically, so he can actually.
Yeah, he's totally fit to fight, but they just, I mean, he's. It looks like
Well,
they just
the
don't care.
problem with wind is, I think wind will work, but the problem with wind is wind.
Yeah, that one with me. Yeah, man, I have that same thing. Don't feel bad, Win. Don't feel bad, Win. I have that same thing.
It's not even that though. It's more or less the fact that wind can actually do the work. The problem is actually wind himself, his attitude and his personality that would make people go, okay, maybe he's not very fit.
Yeah, I can see that.
But like, he would be a good fit for a mercenary. All jokes aside, but it's one of those things where Wynn's personality. If you ever actually,
It's almost like Wynn needs a squire or somebody, like, you know.
Like we all have a uniform. Wynn would probably show up in sweatpants with a belt wrapped around it and some freaking snow boots, the ones from like the old head from the Home Alone type thing, and and a t-shirt tucked in those sweatpants. That's how Wynn would show up. And this is the problem.
But that's him. That's him. Like one. That's like him.
Base Wynn.
Yeah.
Hey, look.
But
I dress to be comfortable.
I don't think so. I think you look for you dress in a way that it, to me, it's the message is I'm looking for people that are real. I don't care about people that are all about appearances. I want people who are real. That's how I view how you dress, because it is, for somebody that's not a used to it, it is kind of like, oh, this person must not want to take care of themselves or something. I mean, it's definitely not that bad, but it's just like, that's kind of
like that though. Wynn typically has this thing about him where like more people will approach him because he looks approachable, whereas I don't look approachable. If you know what I mean. I don't look like I'm the most approachable person in the world if you meet me in person. It's one of those things where it's like, do I want to go say hi to him, or do I want to say I like his channel, or do I just want to leave him alone because he might kill me, or he might injure me, or he might get violent or something like that. So it's one of those things where people typically dodge me publicly.
Sure.
You don't know me because I have said in a video, if I don't know you, don't touch me type thing. So it's one of those things. Where
would I be able to daps you up in public if we saw each other? You know, would I be able to daps you up, or would you be like, I don't know you, motherfucker. I don't know you.
I know you. I know what you look like, and I know you, so you're fine. Like,
yeah.
Like if Infamous Rifle see me in public, I'd dap them up. But it's one of those things where like there's a lot of people that based on my because I typically don't, like I said, like I was saying all the time, I typically don't really laugh and smile unless I'm in a video or during a video. I typically don't laugh and smile a whole lot in real life, basically. That's one thing I can say about myself. I get most of my chuckles and laughs online for all intents and purposes. I mean, don't get me wrong. My children do simple stuff, but I'm basically the straight man in the act, basically. It's kind of like the comedian act. I'm the straight man in the comedian act, basically.
I feel like it's all about where you draw inspiration from. Oh wait, go ahead, Win. What were you gonna say?
I typically smirk when I'm in public. Sometimes, depending on how I feel.
Yeah.
The best way to put it is one of my coworkers from the lab said it best. Her name was Raina. She had hippie parents. She said Tico always looks like he has male resting bitch face.
That's what I have too. Yeah, I mean, and then like, you know, if you multiply that with like looking a little scruffy and stuff, you can really like make a lot of progress in terms of being unapproachable very quickly.
Well, I do look scruffy. I do look scruffy quite often.
Some people describe it as like an aura or a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what is you know, if you want to be nitpicky, like why do we have this sort of behavior or trait? Typically we'll be linking this to somehow survival. You know, people from their point of view, they're kind of hypersensitive, they feel a bit insecure, so trying to judge and assess someone quickly and get a vibe and judge their aura is partly a survivalistic kind of skill.
Like case in point, like I always say this, and Wynn's heard me say this multiple times in real life, I'm an asshole on purpose. I rub people the wrong way on purpose. That way I can separate the real from the counterfeit. Whoever sticks around is real. Whoever leaves and gets mad, they're fake. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's my way. That's my way of weeding out real from the counterfeit.
Yeah. So sometimes I can come across as like it's kind of like the shoe is on the other foot. So if they can't assess you quickly enough, it makes it seem as though you have something to hide or you could be a potential threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
For me, it's like I
A lot of people have a problem with reading me.
Yeah, like reading people. Yeah.
Like a lot of people have a problem with reading me, and that survival instinct actually comes from the fact that I've actually said this one time in a video, where everybody, you know, how people always talk about, I had a friend stab me in the back. I literally had a friend literally stab me in the back. Like,
God damn.
I have 2 knife wounds in my back from a friend that was supposed to be my friend, all because somebody wanted me to squash the beef. That was the last time I ever let that's the last time I ever let that's the last time I ever let my instincts. You know, that's the last time I didn't listen to my instincts, basically. After that incident, actually, and that person is no longer with us, unfortunately. But he basically did what he did. It's sad, but it's one of those things where your friend stabs you in the back. You literally you have a whole entire mentality. You have a whole entire mentality shift after that.
Yeah,
I can understand why a lot of criminals stop trusting family and friends and stuff like that when they start rising to the top, or when people get money, they stop trusting people. I kind of understand that because I literally was stabbed in the back, and I have this knife wounds in my back, which is actually pretty ironic.
I had somebody in middle school, for a person that I was like literally from kindergarten. I had someone literally leave me out to dry. Like they saw we both made eye contact, but he just kept walking. You know, I was getting jumped in school.
Mm-hmm.
We literally made eye contact, and he just kept walking. He walked away.
The sad part about that, people would do that, especially when they. Well, you also got to take consideration too. There's a lot of people that don't fight and don't know how to fight. There's that too. So when that happens, it's like it sucks, but it's one of those things where like there's a lot of people like, you know, they say they got your back, but they really don't got your back because they're scared to like fight. It's kind of like one of them people that we always talk about, scared to bust a grape in a fruit fight type thing. Those are typically those people. So the sad part about that, a lot of time we have a lot of those people around us that we don't realize we have around us. Sadly, they might be your friend, they might be your family. Heck, there's a story about a dude on YouTube actually told a story about a time when his cousin actually left him out to dry, and he actually told his aunt about it. So his aunt made his cousin come out and get his ass whooped by his cousin. The dude kicked his cousin's ass basically for leaving him out to dry for all intents and purposes. So it actually happens more often than you think. Let it be family, let it be friends.
Yeah, and there's quite a few dynamics that could factor in as well that make it even more complicated. So in some ways, it's not surprising that people are on tiptoes, or they're highly sensitive and assessing people, because we've kind of bred it into our culture of like, who do we trust and what are they up to? So we have overt behaviors, covert behaviors. And predators, for example, will have like that love bombing stage where they're trying to be open to gain your trust, and so that you lower your guard, and then they've penetrated your boundaries and they've infiltrated. So with the red pill, and sort of trying to steer it back onto that sort of topic, that skepticism aspect is warranted to help kind of clarify, to make to be sure of yourself that you're not kind of either like being in denial or lying to yourself or delusional. And with that skepticism, not only does it verify that individual's viewpoint or how they want to see the world or their set of beliefs, but it helps them to criticize or analyze other people. So you can start, like you guys were saying, like you instead of listening to what they're saying, because a lot of people have learned a skill of talking a good talk, and it's more really the read between the lines that matter the most. What are they really communicating? So yeah, you'll be using that kind of cynical. Well, I don't want to say like it's cynical as in like it's negative, but it's just a skill to critique other people, which obviously, you know, if someone's being exposed and they're being revealed to be a fraud or a fake or they're imposter or something like that, that it's not going to jive well with them. Then they're going to feel uncomfortable. They're probably going to be hostile or retaliation or defensive. So a lot can manifest just from this critical thinking, skeptical, critiquing, assessing sort of attribute someone might. Well, it's a skill that you would have to develop and learn what to look for.
Very true.
So it's got its pros and cons. It can work negatively because obviously someone might they might not like to hear the truth, for example. So they will do a misjustice to themselves and start believing in things like UFOs or the Illuminati instead, because that fantasy narrative is more comfortable to believe than the harsh reality of truth. It's kind of ironic. It's sort of, you think someone who was grounded and based and actually knew what was what would be an appeal, but for some people that is the last thing they would actually want to acknowledge or accept, because with that will come the responsibility and accountability of what do you do with that kind of information. So the truth is painful, it's uncomfortable, and as such they are more willing to actually go the other way and basically start becoming delusional, really, psychosis or something like that, to an extreme extent. But they'd rather believe in lies and wishful thinking or whatever kind of narrative that can sort of, they'll have to do mental gymnastics to make it make sense. But it doesn't matter how hard those gymnastics are, they will make the connections for it to somehow make sense in their head.
That's typically like women when they use mental gymnastics to make what they say sound reasonable or like it's a real thing, logical. Yeah. Well, it's not even logical because it's illogical, but they say stuff to the point where it's like you're sitting there thinking like, how the hell did you come up with that? Like, in what alternate universe did you pluck that? Like help me help you understand this. Like, and that's the neat thing about when it comes to women, when they do that stuff, they'll really pick at it and they'll cherry pick until something sticks, literally. What's up, Jim?
Yeah. And that's where like when you're hearing the different things they're saying and you're reading between the lines, you get that kind of sensation. It's like, are they trying to convince me or trying to convince themselves of this?
That's my favorite line. Are you trying to convince me or are you trying to convince yourself?
A lot of stuff that I'm convicted about, but I wouldn't. It's funny how somebody who's so like diametrically opposed to you, but also has that knack for like wanting to research and investigate things is delusional, whereas and willing to talk to a bunch of people about it, almost like they want to find an ally, kind of like they want somebody else that believes the same stuff that they do.
Yeah, like cherry picking information. Mm-hmm. So because of that desire of like, how can I make this like narrative work, they're selective, so narrow sighted with what they're, and so no wonder they're going to find any. I mean, you got research and studies that will basically say anything these days. So whatever you believe, if you want to believe you're an Apache helicopter, there will probably be a study there somewhere that says that yes, in the history of mankind, we were once Apache helicopters. And then this person will find bingo, I knew it all along. I knew my great grandfather was a military helicopter. And then they'll start citing this information, stick it in your face, and be like, "Here it is, see for yourself."
That's basically Google today.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like if you believe a certain thing, you can actually find it on Google. If you believe it either way.
M4 rifle.
Oh God. God, this guy, you would be.
It's kind of like art. Kind of like there's that saying, art imitates life. Where we're almost in sort of like when we're using skepticism, we're kind of like looking at something that's living, that's like living, breathing, like an idea, even an idea, and we're like dissecting it to see what parts of it are authentic and what parts you can do away with. And then if you look at how hard it is to find like relevant cultural things in pop culture and in entertainment, which is a great well of inspiration for a lot of people, it's no wonder that they're turning to like obscure conspiracy content and stuff and truth knowledge and spirituality as a way to find something that
And
like creativity again. Because this person is a bland. Okay, I don't want to be like super pejorative, but this person, like, without the UFOs, without the, without the insert X conspiracy, they see that reality as being much less palatable than.
I feel like you're talking about someone in particular. Not going to name names or anything.
I'm not going to name names. Ian's always talking about somebody in particular.
It's a joke because my friend Duzangs, he got thrown under the bus by somebody once, and they said like all Duzangs talks about is UFOs. If you know the guy,
okay.
Not true.
Well, I was thinking somebody else. You're talking about someone I wouldn't, someone from your personal life. Never mind.
He actually makes
False
content
alarm.
sometimes. Sometimes he does jump in the show every now and again.
Okay.
But you've met him. I think he was in the show with him once, maybe.
But if that's not really that relate, I don't know. I'm basically just taking. I guess I'm playing it pretty close to the chest, you could say.
Okay.
Well, but yeah.
Go to these,
what channel were you watching him again? Good Lord, this
questions that make things like, what would it matter if there were UFOs? Why? Because to make this sort of point or a statement like, look, I believe there are UFOs or they're out there or something like that, is one thing. But what are the ramifications of that statement being true? That is really what matters. So it's kind of like these they're emotional steps really, but from their point of view, these are like logical steps. So from these so-called logical steps, what is the end result? What is the goal? Does this mean, therefore, if there are aliens, somehow we're let off the hook for being human or something like that? We're at their mercy, or what are we?
That's kind of what it is, Billy. Some of you older guys, you know who David Icke is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, might not know. He's probably too young. But David Icke is this guy who's been around forever, and he believes that all of our politicians and important people are actual reptilian aliens.
Lizard people.
Yeah,
yes, the lizard people that you hear about. That's him. That's the guy, David Icke. Now he does have a point. If you take away the alien thing, and you look at it as, these people are sociopaths, and therefore they kind of have like a, whereas like mammals have the capacity for emotion and things like that, like a reptile, like an alligator, doesn't have that. They're just, the way they are. They'll rip your arm right off and not even.
There's a lot of human beings that actually do have the same capacity as reptiles too.
Yeah, you got the lizard brain and then the
They're-
monkey brain.
They're sociopaths, so they don't have like any sense of guilt. Like an alligator will rip your arm right off. Like it might not attack you, like it might be used to you and think of you as part of the environment. But let's say you fall down or something, something happens that triggers its predatory mechanisms in its brain, and it rips your fucking arm right off. It's not going to feel bad that it just ripped your arm off and ate it right in front of you.
That's kind of like me after I make a video.
Right.
On somebody.
Crocodile tears.
But
So
the
it's kind
same,
of like,
Take it back, and I'm not
yes.
sorry.
The same thing is true for these sociopaths, that they are actually on the quest for power. Like Hillary Clinton is a prime example of the concept I'm talking about. If she could bottle up, like if these people could bottle up power, right, make it like a liquid form and put it in a syringe, they'd be like their new drug. Like they'd be injecting that shit into their veins, and they'd have track marks all over themselves. Like if it was possible. but that's how they feel.
You know, some of this behavior is tied into like I've learned it from the field of narcissism. Sorry for dropping the N word, but I'm sure it's general kind of characteristics.
There's a relationship, or there's some parallels between sociopathy and narcissism because as you know, the audience might not know, but as you know, there's a lack of empathy a lot of times in the higher part of the narcissism spectrum.
Yeah, but that's not the point I'm trying to make here. I mean, that's my fault. What I'm trying to say is that with this sort of perspective, this behavioral trait, there's often dehumanizing aspects. So if there's someone that you don't like, quite often that person will be dehumanized in some way. So let's say with the elites, for example, because we can't directly challenge the elites or fight the elites, we somehow dehumanize them. We say that they're reptiles or something like that. And in that sense, so then we're then able to battle them psychologically. So you're not really fighting a human anymore. You're now psychologically fighting a reptilian person.
It's basically the same. It's basically the same concept that it's basically the same concept that women use when they dehumanize men and say that toxic masculinity and all this other stuff, and they're abusive and they do all this stuff and they're destructive, and they pretty much say all this stuff. That's basically what women do to men on a regular basis.
Like my ex was my ex is a devil or the demon. So what does that say? Are you really saying they're from hell and they're the demon? And are you then suggesting?
Sometimes I wonder about women. Sometimes I wonder about women, Billy. I'm just saying.
Are you saying you're so it's like good versus evil? So they're the devil, they're the demon, they're the reptilian, and that must mean I am more pure, I'm more holy in some way.
Well, they do say in the Bible. Some people did break the Bible down and say that men are. They said basically there's no such thing as a female angel.
Fact.
And then they also go on to say that the Adam and Eve is basically good and evil. Adam represents all that is good and whole and pure, and Eve represents everything that is destructive and manipulative and stuff like that. That's also how they got the whole entire Lilith thing too, because they also say the Lilith was before Eve. But they typically say women typically will, if it can be messed up, it's 9 times out of 10 going to be messed up by a woman somehow, some way. Most wars that were fought in this world were over a woman or about a woman, or if it wasn't about that, it was basically religion in a woman. So, or a whole entire town said they got better looking women. Let's go take over that town. So they did.
I mean,
so at the end of the day,
like tying that with Hillary Clinton, David Icke, and what we said earlier about a lot of it is pretty much just basically emotions. We can see that the problem here is we have a knack of how we interpret things.
Exactly.
So anything can mean anything to anyone. And with that kind of facilitates the mental gymnastics to make it make sense. So you could quite literally somehow find so-called proof that Hillary Clinton is indeed somehow a reptilian.
It's kind of like how you see these black pillars. They interpret certain events of like violence like way different than how the average person does. Whereas like when I see something that's tragic that happens where a person is like troubled, like a man is troubled specifically, and they lash out, it doesn't make, to me, it makes it seem like it's even more important to get help for yourself. But I think in the eyes of a lot of people who are black pill, they kind of like look at it and say like, ooh, it like legitimizes their perspective.
That's a problem. Yeah.
It's like you said, it's a very strong need to feel comfort.
Yeah. So if other people if they're struggling also, and they see someone who's somehow navigating through life, and they think this is a good way of going, they'll emulate it. They're it's like contagion. It kind of spreads. And
no, which basically comes to my theory is like all of the religious books are just basically fragments of one book that were broken up over time.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe fragments of different people's ideas.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, because they have things in one book that aren't in another book, and things in this book that aren't, and it's like there are things that are in all three books, but different perspectives or different ways of explaining it and seeing it. And it's like, and then you got things that have been written out of certain books and written more about in other books.
I think
It's like,
that's like the overall mission of the Red Pill too, is to dispel the rumor that just because you come from a different perspective, that two people from different cultures and different perspectives can interpret something the same way. Like for example, something not being true, even though it's there. Like we see this a lot of times with communities. Like Billy talks about mass psychosis and the breakdown of communities. A lot of times new communities will find themselves with stragglers from older disbanded communities. And I think in that way, being skeptical and being reasonable about, the way that you associate or what is it? Collectivize, or not collectivize, but I think it's associate. It kind of like helps to keep the forming of communities going, because I don't think you can stop communities from falling apart, but I guess you can just be be mindful, I guess, of the people that are escaping like something that was bad, and not turn them away immediately by being like super crazy or radical or talking or not being too serious, I guess.
They could turn a blind eye to things. It's the emotions take the precedence. So typically when communities are forming or individuals are trying to find buddies to team up with, they kind of start off with emotional communication. And that is, not to sound too malicious, but that's kind of like how people get hooked. Like, like I sense a good vibe from, I haven't spent any time with you to know you logically inside and out, like all the facts and the history, but I get a good sense of feeling talking to you. So on that basis alone, I will be willing to be your friend. And then that kind of grows outwards and starts forming communities, etc. And so mostly, especially nowadays, people aren't necessarily forming communities on the basis of shared principles, ethics, morals. That they're being in communities because the community regulates their emotion, makes them feel better in their head. And to kind of answer, well, not answer, but RP was saying people who are mentally ill don't recognize it. This would be part of that, because the community lines up with the ego. So this would be ego syntonic. When you're in harmony with the ego, you agree with the ego, and so you won't see there's a problem. If you're dystonic, then you don't agree with your ego, and you'll be more likely to start being more skeptical and question yourself and change your behaviors because you don't like who you are. Like you could sense the ego is someone who's kind of like controlling you, and you don't like doing the things that you do. So that's ego dystonic. And when you're aligned and you're unaware and you're happy with everything, that's ego syntonic. Just to throw that in there.
Interesting, yeah. So dystonic, I think there's a lot of that in like the male skeptic community, because they have a lot of things that it's like just an emotional reaction. Like somebody puts out a video about one topic, the next video is like to debunk that person instead of coming up with their own idea.
So we see there's a lack of mutual respect going on with that, because it's like someone's not allowed to have a different opinion or a different outlook. I've got my truth, and so you can't argue with me, sort of thing. And so when people are dystonic with that argument, or they don't, they're not, they got a different opinion, instead of having that mutual respect for this person, they see it as a threat. So if they take it, they personalize it. It's like your difference of opinion somehow is challenging me or whoever this person is,
Hmm.
and they take offense to it. So you're not even respected as a separate person. You're now looked at as an enemy. And what you say is, well, they typically label it as either being toxic or rhetoric, or you're somehow, you're now dehumanized even further. Like, you must be a radical, racist, sexist, so and so or whatever. So they start attaching labels to you, compartmentalizing you, and they're attacking the like ad hominems instead of your argument or your opinion or who you are as a person. But all of that again is coming from a point of emotional vulnerability or emotional insecurity. They have to kind of go this route in dealing with this problem because their emotions is all they have. If they were to listen to the other person's argument or acknowledge they've got a different point of view, that questions this individual's pristine bliss, perfection, idealized narrative that they've spent so much time and effort constructing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think society helps them construct it too, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like that's where the dystonic comes from. The way that they relate, the way that they try to find relation outside of relation, like meta emotional management, or like meta people, is to go outside of what they think is typical. That's why you see like people trying to do these, people in self-help going really hard during the pandemic, because they feel like if they go really hard into it, it'll somehow make things better. Like you see it in the in just how people treat one another. If you can,
well, it's partially ego,
Mhm.
and also a lack of respect for the marketplace of ideas. So it's very telling that if you get on YouTube, and especially if you have a fairly decent amount of people watching you on like a live stream, you're just talking about things like masks, face masks don't work or whatever, or you're talking about these different medicines that we know work that the government doesn't want you to talk about. Well, your channel might get yeeted. Now, why is that? Because they want to control the narrative, and they don't believe in the marketplace of ideas, because the marketplace of ideas should allow you to bring something stupid, and then everybody hears what you have to say, and then they point and laugh at you, say, that guy's an idiot, why would he believe something, this is provably false, and here's why, and here's the evidence. But you don't even get that. If we were to talk about certain things ad nauseum on this channel, this stream would be yeeted. I guarantee it. If not with the bots, someone would actually listen to it and eat it themselves. But they do have bots set up to listen for certain words. That's how crazy it is right now.
Oh yeah.
You can't talk about this shit on any other like lefty controlled social media. It will be yeeted. Promise you. Medical misinformation, air fingers quotes.
Yeah. It's becoming a lot more polarized. So it's either you're for or you're against, or you are the good guy and you're the enemy. And the good guys are, you're now virtuous. So if we use the vax as an example, those who are the vax are saving mankind or humanity.
Yeah. Saving the world by wearing your face mask. And
no
exactly. And those who aren't, obviously you're the devil and you're the demons and you're bringing down, it's your fault.
You're here to kill grandma, goat man.
And
you only wear this mask that doesn't even work.
And the only way that how do you draw the line is whether or not you have this jab, basically.
Yeah.
So one is the middle ground of any advice saying to people, look, maybe you might not want the jab, but hey, how about you make sure you eat well, you get plenty of rest, you look after yourself, well, I suppose they do say like wash your hands, but you should already be doing that anyway.
And that's where they get really mad, goat man, because you're forcing them to look in the mirror.
Isn't that how most, the sociopaths or leftist opportunists that you'd say exist? That's how they got to where they are with their stupidity. ideas. They're trying to like close the door on the way on their way.
Yeah, they don't like competition. That includes competition of ideas.
But if we throw in as well, on top of all of what we're saying, that these people who are emotionally dependent, they're unstable, and they need regulating, they need other people to follow. So with that, they're gonna do things like try to kind of like brainwash or be influential or share their ideas.
Right.
So they're gonna try to gaslight people. They're gonna try to emotionally trigger and heighten people's senses. They're going to try and fearmonger and make fear an emotion. So they're going to try and increase people's insecurities and deficits and vulnerabilities. So we can see a cascading effect going on. So as one person becomes more unstable and more survivalistic, it puts fear into the next person, and it starts to spread like a wildfire. So no wonder it kind of has this sweeping motion, which is very fast paced and accelerated. I mean, the last couple of years, we all agree, has been pretty eventful. That's how quickly these ideas and ideologies spread. And so if you could tell people, like, well, the reason why everything is becoming survivalistic and everyone's worried about their safety is because of whatever, they're going to latch onto it without hesitation.
Yeah, like D-Man just said, so many people, we're the minority now. Well, I will say, everybody listening and everybody on this panel, we're thinking about things as guys who aren't looking for a leader, who are we're free thinking individuals. But most people are, as the man said, they're sheeple. They're looking for someone to just show up and give them the answers and solve their problems, and so they don't have to think. So they can just keep watching Netflix or whatever the fuck it is that they're doing.
They don't have
and go about their lives. They don't have to think for themselves. They don't want to think for themselves either.
Yeah. Thinking is painful and hard, but because they're in that sort of state of mind, that survivalistic, like danger is all around, I don't know who to trust, it could be right around the corner kind of thing, they're very impulsive as a result. So why why debate or consider options and weigh up philosophies or even just messages? There's no time for that. You've got to make a decision right now. So they basically sacrifice their individuality, their independence, their whatever, and they submit in the hopes of being cared for.
And what they're also trying to do is they're trying to make the people who seem rational and calm-minded. They also try to get those people to get emotional, or they make those people out to be some sort of what's the word I'm looking for?
Evil,
they try to
Nazi, demon.
No, they demonize them, but it's like they try to make them into a conspiracy theory. No matter how calm and rational they are, they also they basically vilify them if they're
We're doing that
calm.
with Joe Rogan right now.
Yeah, I think
Because it's kind of like using the vax as an example again. So it's like, give up your freedom, get a vaccine, and you can have your freedom back. And at the same time, these vax people are looking at the unvax and saying, hey, it's the unvax that are denying us our freedom. And it's like, that's
Well, the funny thing about that is the same people who preach my body, my choice are the same ones that tell people to go get the vaccine. You don't have a choice.
right. Yeah.
So now you're giving up your body, your choice for a vaccine, basically, because they told you to take it. I thought it was your body, your choice. That goes out the window.
So we get double standards, hypocrisy, blame shifting, projecting, and a whole bunch of other kind of like just silly behaviors, ultimately, contradictions. And they have the lack of awareness because of everything else that's factored in. And they don't want to have the responsibility of what they're saying and accountability of it. So they don't see themselves making what we see as quite obvious hypocritical statements. Like, even if you were to try and do the things they say, it wouldn't really work out. But that's thinking too far ahead for these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Win a good example of what Win was talking about.
And the thing to finish up what Billy's saying,
Yeah,
they see only what's immediate. They don't see the bigger picture at the end of the day, because that's their problem. They only see what's immediately in front of them. They don't see the bigger picture that this is never going away, and we're always going to be here, whether you like it or not. It don't matter how many people are vaccinated or what. We're going to be here. Case in point, New York right now, they're actually going back to a lockdown again because apparently, even though only people with the ID passports are allowed to go out and eat, apparently it's still going up. And they're blaming the non-vaxxers, even though the non-vaxxers aren't really allowed outside, only but to go shopping maybe. But, you got all these people meeting in places and they're still getting sick and the rates are still going up, but they're blaming the non-vax people. Like,
and it's usually the people that are vaccinated.
And it's frustrating for everyone else because you can point out the logical, obvious kind of thing. Like, look, people are getting passports, but that doesn't mean you've got immunity, etc. You can literally spell it out for them. But clearly, they're not working with logic. They're working emotionally. It makes sense for them.
Yeah, but they also, and the sad part about that, the CDC also said, I hate to say it, because YouTube's probably going to hit me for this one, but they also said that the Omicron variant is very, very contagious. Even if you had the vaccine, you have a high susceptibility of catching it. So at what point does that say that actually works for that?
Yeah.
That's a good question. It's basically just ongoing. It's like no matter what you do, it's going to continue on.
I think maybe it has to do with how the vaxxed trend towards people who live like a more fast-paced celebrity life. Like they listen to all of them, and then they're like those people who do like Raya, these dating apps, and Cameo. Like they like singing with celebrities and interacting with them. They all believe the same like spiritual, conscious. This is how we evolve the human race type thing. It is like a furthering the race type epigenetics, like weird. It's like a social experiment everyone thinks that they're in on. Whereas like,
well, here's the problem with that social experiment. There's two problems with that social experiment. One, they're basically only taking sound bites and they're listening to sound bites, which is everybody knows sound bites can be taken out of context at any given time. Hell, this whole entire live stream probably going to be taken out of context on somebody else's channel, and they're probably going to make us sound like we hate the world and stuff like that happens on a regular basis. If you're MGTOW Redpill, that's one. And two, the whole entire problem with that is, if we're going to say the epigenetic thing, I've always found it funny how all these people down white men, but they're all dating white men. Make sense to me. White men are the enemy. Ocasio-Cortez, Illa Omar, the other chick,
just saying about
Kamala Harris, and the other one. They're all dating white men, but they're the problem. Like, make that make sense.
Yet, who do you have in the White House currently?
That's kind of like a BPD thing there, Tico, where they start off with the savior, like the white man is the savior, and then at some point, usually pretty promptly, they become the image change, and now they become
they start off with an image that's less controversial, and until they find something that like they like. It's like they're kind of very picky in that way. Whereas like, then the point I was just making wasn't about. It was really just about the vaccine and the rise in cases. It's more like adaptations and mutations are too short-minded of like a scope for them. They think
they don't see the big picture. They think they wanted the immediate because they live that fast-paced star life. It's kind of like the one lady I was telling you about that was in the fast food restaurant who threw a fit because she had to wait 5 minutes for fast food.
Or like the Alex case, that the sooner they get the movie finished, the better. And security, don't worry about safety.
Yeah. You know what I've been thinking? What if the hot shot?
God, you've been thinking. Just joking.
What if the hot shot and the booster rockets are meant to get rid of the people that will comply?
true story.
And all the
Not
people that
outside
are
the
not
realm of
going to
possibility
comply.
at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that in the least bit.
And it's like they want to, and they're just basically going about it in a roundabout way to let the people that won't comply survive and rebuild everything. What if it's just to get rid of the people that are just going to follow orders and bow down to old daddy government?
Well, here's the problem with that, though. Would you want those people on your side because they would be a nice hate mob with pitchforks and tiki torches to
Yeah.
come get the people who don't
Yeah.
have the vaccine? Sadly, if you
But
know what
the
I mean.
thing
So
but the thing is just like they don't. That's the point. They
well,
want
and
to
the
get
sad
rid of
part,
those people.
here's a problem. Here's a problem with that whole entire thing. If you're going to bring up that argument, if you bring up that argument, you got to take into consideration too that the government will want people like this. That way, they have people listening to them that won't go against them.
Yes.
The people who don't get the vaccine goes against their very, very nature for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
So why would you want problematic people around that's going to go against you that could probably uprise against you
They want
and go
obedient
against you?
slaves.
Yeah.
And
So
I've got
like
a theory about
let's just
that.
say now let's just say this is a big experiment and they're trying to sort out the goofy rats from the smart rats, basically, and they want all the smart rats. Let's just say wins right for an example. Let's just say all the people who don't get the vaccine are the smart rats. Let's just say all the people who did get the vaccine are the dumb rats or the silly rats. Just maybe in a twisted logical world, they're getting rid of those people because they don't need those people because those people are messing up society. We'll just say it like that. Those people who are the silly rats are messing up society, so they need to get rid of them at a very fast pace. Therefore, all the smart rats are the ones we're going to need around to rebuild society and have around to repopulate the earth to get everything above what's it called birthing levels for all intents and purposes. Let's just say hypothetically that's a thing. Running with Wynn's idea. I don't really see it being a thing, but it could possibly be a thing. It could be some twisted thing to trick everybody into some stuff, and everybody who's vaccinated might like glow orange or red or pink, depending on what vaccine they got. So you can pick them out of a lineup, and you can pretty much lock them up. We'll say that's the case. On the flip side, playing devil's advocate, let's just say that on the flip side, what we actually really believe is that all of us without the vax is going to basically end up with stars, and we're all going to end up in concentration camps.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. So the sad part about that is, even if that happens, the people who are vaxxed aren't safe either.
Is this a sign of socioeconomic class? Like people who don't take it are people who are more economically would be lumped into the same category as back then, like during that time.
Yeah.
The place where
it's kind of like the one dictator that killed all the smart people. Then when he got sick, he needed a smart person to cure him, and he couldn't be cured because all the smart people were dead, so he ended up dying.
I won't argue with killing dumb people seems like more feasible than killing smart people, but I think more feasible than both options would be to just train the smart people how to not let dumb people get in their way and still create society.
Well, the sad part about that, you can't really do that. You don't really have to do that with smart people because they already pretty much know. They already pretty much know when people are in their way, and they pretty much know when shit's bullshit. Basically, it's kind of like the whole entire thing I said at the beginning: real and recognize real. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think with the whole, and this is gonna sound really dated, but I feel like the whole like no child left behind thing was a huge step in like the wrong direction. Like,
oh, definitely.
She like George Bush.
That's opportunity. That's opportunity of outcome, basically.
Equality of outcome. Equality of outcome.
Equality of outcome, basically, versus equality of opportunity. Yeah.
One of the problems with this smart proposal that you put forward is there's a difference between smart and intelligent, and so we could eradicate the vax, for example, using Wynn's example as if it was true, right? We could eradicate the vax, but that doesn't mean that the population that is left are intelligent. They might be smart enough, as in like they've been cautious not to get the vaccination, So they got like they're streetwise, but they might not be intelligent.
Well, yeah, you need, because the sad part about that is what we're trying to say is basically you still need street smarts at the end of the day to put two and two together. Because the sad part about that is a lot of these people who got vaxxed don't have any street smarts at all. Because if they did, they'd be like, well, because the sad part about that, case in point, there was a thing going around that said all vaccinated people are all Donald Trump supporters and they're all white men probably, and this, that, and the other. If you actually look at the statistics, most of the unvaccinated people are Hispanics and blacks.
Yeah, but
there's a reasoning for that.
You also got a lot of you got a lot of intelligent people who have been vaxxed, but they haven't got the streetwise about them.
Yeah, and that's the thing about that, because like, you also got to take consideration too. 9 times out of 10, the people that didn't get vaxxed are probably street smart or intelligent and street smart. Whereas the people who got vaxxed are just book smart, because they just go to school and they get these random degrees that don't really amount to anything when they come out of school. The sad part about that is you got to classify what actually smart is. We talk about people that graduate from college with the underwater basket weaving a degree or something, or are we talking about somebody that went to school for STEM?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what is underwater basket weaving.
It's a nonsensical thing that the manosphere made up. Because that's basically a lot of the degrees that women are coming to, like gender studies. Like, why don't you just go to school for psychology or social studies?
Go, man.
That's definitely his mic right there.
Mike's going crazy, or UFOs over there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or he got too close to another mic.
Probably the one. Hey, you gotta stay away from those neodymium magnets.
Right? He's only a lizard person because lizard people, the vibration.
That's how they mate. That's
Where's the family love when you need them for the vibrations? But anyway,
I was going to say I have a theory because we all know that these so-called vaccines are made of mRNA, right?
We all know that.
And I was talking to a guy who's a lot more qualified to know this stuff than I am, and I asked him because we know that humans are experimenting in genetics, and you can kind of like in China, they can basically custom make babies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I asked him, I was like, do you think it will be possible to use one of these vaccines to, like, you know how it changes your genetics? Would it be possible to make a person more compliant?
Yeah, it could be.
So you know, like I'm with Tico on this, that the upper class, the powers that be, whatever you want to call them, they want willing slaves. They don't want people who are going to rebel against them.
Yeah.
I think also people take
think of it like this. Remember the last election? Before the last election, people were rioting in the streets, burning down cities, and it was called a peaceful protest.
Mm-hmm.
Labeled as a peaceful protest. Those are willing slaves.
Yep.
Anytime you can actually label something as a peaceful protest or peaceful any damn thing, despite the fact that shit's on fire and stuff is being looted and rioted and burned and all the above, and cities are being taken over by small cliques of people. Anytime you could do that, that's basically the willing participants.
That reminds me of a scene in Mars Attacks where the aliens are walking through the burning city with a stereo that says, "We've come in peace. We're here to help you."
Yeah, literally. Yeah, literally.
Well, they're zapping everyone.
Half the damn city.
You gotta stay away from those neodymium magnets. Move your mic away from the rare earth magnet.
The rare earth, this guy. But yeah, it's one of those things where you got to take that in consideration. If you don't understand it, you'll get caught up in it. You'll get swept up in it, and it sucks when that happens. And people don't seem to understand or get that. Like, it's like we always say, especially Shinobi 1 at the end of all his videos. I don't say it as often as I used to, but basically our message is trust no one, question everything. Literally, is our end messages to everybody. It's like, even though if I say it might be right, but still go fact check it and find out more and build upon it. Maybe you can make a better video than I just did, basically. Like,
yeah, I agree.
That's honest, at least.
Like I might say on point stuff, but I want you to take that on point stuff and build upon it. Is basically all I want.
How they
See,
interpret
Tico, if you just throw on a white lab coat and call yourself a doctor, I'll
you'll be
believe
legitimate.
anything you fucking say, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
no, the sad part about that is I am a molecular genetics person. That's the sad part. But I typically just don't. I only use it when I have to. Only use it in live streams when I have to, and that's typically other people's live streams because it never really comes up in this live stream or any of my live streams really. So it's typically one of those things where I was in. Case in point, I was in Money on AD's one of Money AD's live streams, and people were talking about genetics and stuff like that, and I basically had to break out my degree and brush it off and dust somebody off real quick and run laps around them. But yeah, I was basically telling them how it actually works and how it doesn't work. And the sad part about that, people are shocked to find out that I'm actually really intelligent when I actually break out stuff and actually start talking about stuff. You got the nurse in the background co-signing on all my shit. You got the doctor person over there, the real doctor over there, co-signing on all their shit I'm saying. So it's like pretty funny when it actually happens.
Tico's lighting Bunsen burners underneath people's asses.
Yeah, literally.
is,
every now and again, I gotta light a Bunsen burner over somebody's ass, basically.
Yeah.
But it's very rare when I do.
I'm not like I said, I'm not a genetics physicist or anything involved with the
I'm not a
scientific
physicist.
whatever.
I only do microbiology and molecular genetics. That's it.
I only do truck
psychology.
driving. I only do truck driving and military.
Wind has a
But
PhD.
it's like my
At least there's
understanding.
a boat and what? You have a PhD in a boat?
Yeah, okay.
He has a
Keep that up.
physics.
But isn't the the building block of life of the DNA typically DNA?
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically they're taking modified genetics from another organism and injecting it into another organism.
We could take.
Well, in all technicality, when they do research, case in point, it's all fun and games until you got like a pig's heart in you. If you know what I mean. It's all fun and games until you got a lung from a pig or, a lung from something else, or you're walking around with gills or something like that. It's basically, it's basically what it is. Because the sad part about that, a lot of times, a lot of transplants come from animals, other animals, basically, or, stuff like that.
What I'm saying is
I know somebody that got a lot of people don't know about vein transplants. Vein transplants are a real thing. They literally harvest veins and they can put them in somebody else. Yeah, they can literally do that. They can also grow veins in a lab too if they really wanted to. But that's neither here nor there. But the sad part about that is there are people who literally have vein transplants. There are people who literally have transplants that you've never even heard of that hasn't even came out publicly yet, that nobody ever really talks about. So there's body parts. You can transplant damn near any body part if you want to. Hell, you could take a portion of somebody's kidney and transplant it into somebody else. You could take a portion of somebody's brain and transplant it into somebody else. You can pretty much do anything.
As long as they have the same blood type, right?
You could do a fecal transplant.
Yeah, you can do a fecal transplant too.
Well, we were talking about this last show, but someone got a pig heart not too long ago.
What I'm saying is
that's like the third person. That's not the third person. That's like the 10th person that's got a pig's heart and they're doing just fine.
Sorry about that.
You're fine.
I was saying is what I'm worried about is combining two different.
They've already done that.
I mean, what I'm saying, how long has it been? Has it been? How long have they lived?
They've been doing it for a while. They've been doing that for. They've crossbred two different species on a regular basis.
China's been doing that chimera experiments for a while. We've known about this for years.
Remember the animal called a liger?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It can't have children, but you can make it happen if you really try.
True.
Case in point, there's a lot of animals. Case in point, there's a lot of animals out there that should be extinct or should not be extinct, but they're not extinct for the fact that they're being, bred in a lab some damn where, or housed and repopulated. Or there's basically animals that we quote unquote discover every so often that technically been out there for a while, and it's basically somebody's brainchild, and they basically put it back out in the wild.
A lot of dog breeds are and all that.
Yeah, a lot of dogs been crossed. Like, you know, what they got like a Rottweiler and a poodle, or a Rottweiler and a Shih Tzu. I mean, they got a lot of dogs like that, like dogs that you wouldn't even think would be able to remotely mate or have dogs with dogs. Basically, they've actually literally made them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where, like, you got to understand that it's actually been done before. And designer, like I was telling somebody in on NAD's last stream, designer babies are a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the money, you can actually have it done. If you want your baby to be black with blue eyes and have ultraviolet skin, you can make it happen. If you want your baby to be white with brown eyes and have woolly hair like a black person, we can make it happen. It doesn't really matter what you want. The sky's the limit, basically.
Doesn't that limits mankind's like ability to date outside the if you don't need to actually reproduce with a diverse set of people, and you can just make the baby that you want, wouldn't people kind of like normally click?
Well, the irony too with designer babies, you still need. That's why the artificial womb's a thing. Typically, a lot of times, either somebody's carrying that designer baby, or it's in an artificial womb somewhere.
Oh, okay, got it.
And whatever country that the artificial womb's in, or whatever state or country or area that, you know, just the few artificial wombs that actually exist in this world actually are. They typically either are in there or they're basically in somebody. Like, case in point, remember I told you about the one rich family that literally approached me to basically, they wanted to breed out some genetical defects out of their family, so they approached me to actually offer up specimen to do so. She literally had a designer baby.
Bob your cheek, or did they like pluck your hair out or something? Or you had?
No, we're talking about sperm here.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where they approach me for that, so they can actually breed out some type of genetic defect in their family. So because apparently their family had a very, very how it was explained to me. Their family doesn't have a very long shelf life for all intents and purposes, and their family could disappear. And a lot of their female relatives were having problems like they can't have children. They were having problems like, you know, high blood pressure, diabetes, and stuff like that. Which, if you know anything about it, I talked about this once or twice, but my mom's side of the family are known for having problems, but my dad's side of the family is known for making those problems go away. Has the genetic to make those problems go away. So, like, case in point, if a child of my mom and dad, case in point, let's just say a long time ago, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure when I was about 17. So about like 3, 4, 5 years after the fact I was diagnosed with it, it basically worked itself out and it disappeared. Stuff like that. So So it's one of those things where, like, you want something so you can breed something out of your family, so you won't have any defects in your family, so you can either A, carry on your genetics and your lineage, or B, you know, make it happen. The irony to it is she literally had 2 twin children, one a boy, one a girl.
Yeah.
They both damn near look nothing like me at all whatsoever. They look like their family, but they have my DNA, but they look nothing like me. Let that sink in for a second.
For me, it's like people are astonished at how the doctors were astonished with how low my blood pressure is. It's like when I'm resting, but it's like, and I smoke cigarettes.
Well, here's a funny thing about that, because people always typically say when your blood pressure is high, you got a high pulse. Your pulse is usually high. Right. Neat thing about it is my pulse runs anywhere between 90 to anywhere between like 70 to 90. That's 96 low. At 96 at the highest. That's typically where my pulse typically always runs. Now 90s kind of in an area where it might be a little high. 80, low 90s or like high 80s is where they really want it, but typically it runs anywhere between 70s and 90s.
Yeah. Keeping track.
No matter what happens to my body, let it be a accident or a ailment or anything, or any blood pressure, anything. My pulse always stays the same. No matter what, it never goes up and elevated. It always stays in between those numbers. Just like my body temperature is a good case in point. Good case in point. Only time it goes up is if I'm sick. And if I'm not sick, it stays anywhere between normal to high normal, basically. Now, the neat thing about high normal is typically that only happens when I'm standing outside for a long period of time. And as you know, they say your body shivers to basically raise, to get body heat basically going so you won't like get hypothermia. That's typically one of those things that happens for me. I basically stand out there for a while and I'm just talking and I ignore everything and my body just does its job and it raises my body temperature. Then I realize I have people standing around me for body heat and shit like that, which is kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
One of those things that happens a lot. Like
one of
the upsides, like Cartel Princess said it once. One of the upsides of dating you is if it's cold, I can hug you and I'll be warm.
Oh damn! Twilight.
What is it with women with cold feet?
Yeah. Oh, don't touch me with no feet. I don't need feet. Ask True Sherm about that. I don't like feet.
Wow.
But yeah, it's one of those things but yeah, that's the basic answer Wynn's thing about the whole entire thing, even though we got off topic a little bit there, but it actually exists. That stuff actually exists. Like what Infamous Rifle was talking about, it literally exists. I've actually worked on it on several occasions, and I've literally worked on other things on several occasions that I signed an NDA and I can't talk about. We know designer babies are alive and well because that NDA ran out and everybody knows we can have them basically. Well, not everybody, but most people know we can have them if you got the money, or if you do the research on it, or if you go and study it, or like Infamous Rifle did, or Billy did. Basically, you pretty much know it's happening.
And it's not too late because a lot of parents now are trying to have like trans children. So that's sort of like an attempt at having a designer baby.
Yeah, but the problem with that designer babies, you're basically got to do the cut and surgery after the fact. Whereas at the beginning, you ain't got to worry about that. Before that, like if you're having a boy and they think it's going to be a boy, they can change it to a girl.
Yeah,
they can make it a girl off the bat, or they can make it a boy off the bat. Ironically,
and that's not going to cause any problems, right?
Well, no, because you got it before birth, whereas people get it after birth,
Exactly.
which causes more complications and problems. You see what I'm saying? Well, it's before birth. You're basically set it up when it's just a bunch of cells basically that didn't even get together to make an embryo or a zygote. You got it way before that. That's basically how you get it. Whereas after the fact, you're basically going to run into a lot of complications and problems. You're going to run into a lot of gender dysphoria. You're going to run into a lot of depression, a lot of other craziness that goes along with that. Then, if you notice that the suicide rate in the trans community is very high.
Oh, bird high. Really bird high. And well, the thing is, like, things like there's going to be a lot more girls being born than boys.
Trans is kind of
the sad part about that is that happens on a regular basis by choice, because a lot of times in a lot of states you can get an abortion when you find out what the sex is, and typically more boys get aborted. Way more boys get aborted than what girls. But that's thinking.
Just using like visual calculus, I feel like you could make it that trans people are kind of like 0 standard deviations away from the mean, because they're literally in the middle, like their gender dysphoria, and they like, even though their mental condition, you would say, is like in an extreme case, the fact that society props them up and like as being like a mainstream thing kind of sandwiches them right in the middle of what's acceptable in society. Like, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if that was trans normative culture was like became the new mainstream, because I feel like it's the easiest thing for everyone to fall into, as opposed to gender.
It's one of those things where it's like it's a byproduct of the world. The sad part about that, if you actually talk to a trans person, a lot of trans people are actually against this whole entire thing. But they don't speak out against it because they're scared of being like, because there's the repercussions and consequences in cancel culture when it comes to them, sadly. So they don't really speak out against it. It's kind of like the women who want to speak out against transgender men, women who transition from men to women, taking over their sports, but they really can't do it because they're scared of cancel culture, they're scared of death threats and all this other stuff. You see what I'm saying? So the sad part about that is everybody's actually scared to speak out against a lot of this stuff based on the fact of cancel culture and death threats. It doesn't matter who you are. Let you be a black man, black woman, trans woman, trans man, or a man that literally were born with, different body parts. It doesn't matter. You're basically going to be put on a chopping block and canceled, sadly, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
The sad part about that is the people leading the charge are literally the most privileged people in the whole entire world. Like, make that make sense to me.
When you figure that out, let me know.
Yeah. Well, they've been taught to be an idiot, like somebody who's literally in the front of the war, like the grunts that get thrown in and whatever. But they're like they also fight and just hide in that power too. So they're like that. I think that's just a lot of schooling. But would you say that if you could find a group that's even more, I guess, unique, you could say, disposition-wise, than like the trans community, they would be even more worried about speaking out. And I think
like
that's
case in point, a long time ago, black people were at the bottom of the totem pole when it came to problems and inequality, basically. Now black people have been pushed up from the bottom of the totem pole, and below them are somehow, some way, white women and women and transgenders, gays, lesbians, and all the jazz in between. Now, like I said about the trans community, there's a lot of gay people that are not okay with kids coming to the gay pride parade. But if they speak out against it, they'll be canceled or death threats and the whole 9 yards, sadly. Now, the sad part about that is that's the culture that we live in. Like a case in point, if me or Win was to go out and say that we're not oppressed like these people are making us out to be, we're basically functioning members of society that pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps, and we came from 2-parent households, unlike what people think, and all this other great stuff. We'd probably be canceled and threatened at the end of the day. Typically, how it works, because we're supposed to live the life that they want us to live, or how they're telling us how we're actually living. Sadly, when we're not even living that life. We're not from a single parent household. We didn't grow up in the hood. Well, we did grow up in the hood. Well, I grew up in a third world country, but we didn't grow up poor with living paycheck to paycheck or welfare or all this other great stuff. And we can afford the internet. We can afford to go to school. We can afford to all this stuff. Unlike what they say. The sad part about that is if you can actually apply that on a group of people, you can't really blame. You can't really turn around and point out and say white men are racist when in fact you just literally said that all these people don't know how to do all this stuff. That makes you racist, not this guy over here that happens to be white racist. That makes you racist. Mm-hmm. Anytime you can actually label somebody with a large cloth or a large swath, you're the racist, bitter people. You're the racist, the phobes, the everything's basically under the sun. That's typically how that works. But somehow, some way, it works in her favor, and they're right and everybody else is wrong, basically.
Yeah, I noticed that you guys are open to laugh at a lot of things that people, at least around me and in my circles, they don't find too funny, and I think that that's directly attributed to, your ability. Yeah, because that's what humanizes a lot of people. I don't think coming up with all of these social science terms and stuff to redefine things that might have been used to make people or to make fun of people in the past as a productive endeavor. I mean, I think it's just like it really is it takes the fun out of really everything. Just to be able to like say you can't say anything racist, you can't say anything sexist, you can't say anything homophobic or anything, and it just I feel like that's why it only leaves such a small window for people to improve and grow who they are. Because they never face any adversity. They always have everything like handed to them. That's what that's frustrating me growing up because there's a lot of in a lot of ways, people who don't come from 2-parent households and who get pandered to all the time. They're like, for the most part, they're pretty well adjusted. But it's just that they have like a victim mentality, and that's kind of how they move about things. But yeah, we could. I mean, we could talk about the skepticism forever, and not realizing that it's pretty much foundational to the red pill. I thought it was just like a topic we could just pick up and put down because I thought that it was like people are negative, kind of like.
Well, the skepticism, that's pretty much what the red pill is. You're skeptical about what people tell you, or you're skeptical about what people are trying to get you to learn or force you to do or get you to do. You're skeptical about it at the end of the day. It's kind of like, case in point, kind of like how I said that according to the leftist leaning people, all the people who don't have the vaccine are Trump supporters and this, that, and the other, and this, that, and the other, and they're racist Trump supporters that hate people and everybody under the sun. When come to find out, and a lot of them actually said that all the people that are unvaxxed should die and go to hell and that stuff shouldn't get treatment and stuff like that. Come to find out, most unvaccinated people in America are blacks and Latinos.
I can explain why. I can explain the black portion.
Yeah, and typically the Latinos aren't too far behind when it comes to black people, because you also got to take consideration too. A lot of Latinos actually come from what's the word I'm trying to look for? Back in the day, before the whole entire expansion, what they call it,
Manifest destiny.
Manifest Destiny and all that stuff. A lot of these Latinos Mexico basically was America, where America was, and they took over a lot of Mexico and they basically beat them back. On top of that, a lot of Native Americans also ran across the border to Mexico for safekeeping, and a lot of black people ran across the border to Mexico back in the day during the slave trade for safekeeping. Also, some ran to Canada if they can make it to Canada, but typically a lot of them ran back across the border to Mexico. So the sad part about that, to sit here, it's kind of like when people say, go back home. I typically laugh about it, or come back to where you came from. It's like you literally are descendants of immigrants.
Yep.
And if you actually look at the Mexican culture, they're typically the Native Americans that escaped across the border.
They have freedom of movement. It's down to the very biology. Like if you're born and raised here, like, and then you go to Mexico, you can even get sick easier. But then people come here to this, like people come here and they get to eat our like get around our bacteria and eat our food and stuff, and they don't really get sick.
They get diabetes.
Or they get diabetes, right? They get
diabetes, high blood pressure, obese, you name it. The list goes on. Heart disease, cancer. Case in point, there's a reason why high fructose corn syrup is banned across the border.
Yeah, it's a killer.
And if you ever had a Coca-Cola from Mexico, it tastes a lot better.
It tastes how Coca-Cola used to taste, and it basically uses sugarcane sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most of the voting too is the same way that you said the unvaxxed and vaxxed get played out, and I feel like it's just like they try to say that conservatives and alt-right people are like so set in their ways nowadays, but they went from voting for a guy like, the first Bush to then voting for like a lot of people who were Obama. Well, not Republican, but I mean like people who were more like liberal, but still conservative. And then people voted for Trump. Like there's such a diverse range of people that are now labeled as alt-right who've supported a
Well, they're trying to say Tim Pool's alt-right, man, because Tim Pool's basically center-left, but
Yeah, Joe Rogan's supposedly alt-right too, but he's
an alt-right conspiracy theorist
libertarian or something like that.
Well, I just think anything that's funny. I was listening to Terrence Pop, and like it was just like on in the background, and like they have so much fun because they have like their production has gotten so much better, and like the jokes that they crack, I just hear them out the here. They're raunchy, or like their community and stuff is like super, they kind of get what's funny about being kind of like just like, and they do it in like this like man cringe. Well, like you're just like everything is just kind of like raunchy, and it's weird how conservatism and right-leaning opinions is now associated with like raunchiness and sexual depravity, when that's more of a thing that the left tries to shelter people from criticism and stuff like that. So it's kind of like,
Oh, and FYI, while Yam's talking about Terrence Pop,
yeah. Go check him out, by the way. He's
my
awesome.
thumbnails literally came from him. Like, not came from him, but the ideas of the thumbnail idea that I always put on my videos literally came from him. So when y'all talk about my thumbnails, I want y'all to go back and look at some of his thumbnails, some of his photos that he popped in the middle when he say "but." Yeah, I got that idea from him a while ago, and I've been doing it ever since. It's like, but yeah, that's one of those things where I don't know, it's kind of weird to watch people literally, like, it's kind of like I was watching a cartoon short with a guy that was basically trying to talk to a feminist to get her to understand that she's actually not oppressed. And she kept on saying, well, you're mansplaining right now. He said, well, in all technicality, too, play this game, you're actually womansplaining. She goes, well, she goes, men benefit from the patriarchy. He goes, actually, no.
What patriarchy?
Men actually don't benefit from the patriarchy. Women is the one who benefits from the patriarchy. Because they got all the benefits of the patriarchy, basically. The air conditioning, the comfortable cars, the comfortable seat, the comfortable thing, the dishwasher, the washer dryer, the refrigerator, you name it, basically, the electronic you use. All that came from the patriarchy. And you benefit from the patriarchy. So tell me how you're being oppressed in the patriarchy when you got all this stuff at your disposal. You can still be washing with 2 stones if you want to.
Well, that's actually the thing about that is it's actually arguing as if there is a patriarchy, and a lot of shit that's going on right now, if we had an actual patriarchy, probably wouldn't be happening.
Oh, definitely not.
I have a valid question. I have a theory. It's like, I don't think that these lawmen actually make the laws. I think their wives created.
What up, Armchair?
Some of these laws.
What's up, Armchair?
And they're just basically using those laws vicariously through them. And apparently we're getting blamed because the particular lawmakers are getting blamed for it, but their wives were the ones that drafted the crap.
Well, I don't. Not necessarily. I think there might be, in some cases, some truth to that, but I think it's more so that the lawmakers know, like, women outnumber men. Like,
yeah,
they at least have a small majority as far as voting is concerned. So, there's 51% women in the world. They're just doing the math. They're like, well, if I want to have more voters, I need to probably please the women and the beta cucks.
Yeah, it's kind of like the election every year where everybody's trying to pander to the black people or the Hispanics, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the gay community, because they got to break it down for you, basically. It's like, I always find it funny how people say, well, we're not all these things, we're one people, until the election year comes around, then we're all separate people, and everybody's talking about us like we're pariahs and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, make that make sense. We're all one people until the election comes around, and we're all separate people.
How ironic.
Yep. I'm colorblind until there's an election.
Yeah, literally colorblind until there's an election. Now I need to get the black vote, the Hispanic vote, the Asian vote, the gay vote, the lesbian vote. I got to get the trans vote. I got to get the, like, literally say this shit on live TV. Yeah. And it's like the craziest shit in the world.
Well, they take advantage of the short attention span. We getting back to the virus shit. I've been talking about a lot of this stuff, and then the CDC comes out and says exactly what I've been saying for years, and then people just forget about it. I saw a good meme about that. I wish I had it on hand, but but they don't care until someone, the man on the TV, tells them. Then they
sound bites, like I said, everything's a sound bite to them because they can't sit around and actually listen to the whole damn story, so they got to listen to a snippet or a sound bite.
They got the things they got an attention span of
like case in point, TikTok. It's only like 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Like most of the videos are like 60 seconds. But people was literally take like 5 seconds or 3 seconds or a second of a video just to make a point and take it out of context so they can argue a point for no damn reason whatsoever.
Yep.
It's like you couldn't wait 60 seconds to hear the whole entire argument. You couldn't wait 15 seconds to hear the whole entire argument. You took 2 to 3 seconds of the video, and now you want to try to debunk what the person's saying, despite the fact that you didn't debunk the rest of the video.
Wow.
Well, it ain't men that are privileged; it's women that are privileged. Women are typically the most privileged, especially first world country women. First world country women are the most privileged people in the whole entire world. Period. They say they're oppressed, but they're the most privileged. They're the only people in the world that can literally do the dumb stuff that they do and get away with it with imputable damage.
Yep.
That's how privileged women are. I dare one of y'all to go up to a woman in public and make her cry. See the fallout from the whole entire thing that it would ensue.
They've done social experiments about a similar concept where they would have two actors, and in one scenario, the male actor was pretending he was physically abusing the female actor, and all the white knights, jump up out of their seats and actually try to fight the dude, and until they have to explain, like, hey, look, wait, calm down. This was just a social experiment. But the dude, the male actor, about got fucking his ass beat on several occasions where they performed this experiment.
Yeah.
Well, they flipped it. They flipped it around, and they had the female being physically abusive to the male, and everybody they kept their seats.
They laughed. Some of the women are like, "Get him, girl, get him."
Yeah, they just pointed and laughed, and like, "You go, girl," and all this stuff, and it's like, there you go. There's your privilege right there.
Literally, yeah. But then a feminist would say, that's just more patriarchal evidence that the patriarchy actually exists. Literally, what they'll say.
That's and that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, no, and that's basically their argument for every damn thing. See, and that proves that the patriarchy exists. And we're trying to rip that down and make it equal. No, you're not.
Is that a patriarchal or is that a matriarchal society?
Well, in matriarchal society, they typically don't do shit like that in a real matriarchal society. And if you've ever been to a matriarchal society, which there's only 5 to 7 left in this whole entire world, and they're quickly dying. They typically don't have all the amenities that everybody else has.
That's
like case in point. Like I've talked about it, Coon Coon multiple times. Coon Coon's in a remote village in Jamaica. They actually have a cell phone tower. They have a school. They have the internet. They have all this stuff. And it's not a matriarchal society. But I talked about this one too, Bree Village in Costa Rica. They have none of that. They barely have electricity. They barely have anything. They don't have running water. It's like primitive. Literally primitive. Like anytime I go back to Bree to visit old relatives, it's like it's like going camping, literally going camping. Like not glamping, like people show up in a mobile home. It's like literally camping in the woods with a tent. Or a hut, basically. If you know what I mean. It's like and the sad part about that is it's so bad. It's so bad. This is how bad it is. My grandmother, who grew up in that village, doesn't go back to that village. Well, she passed away, but she does not go back to that village. At all. She loves her life she loved her life with her husband in an actual city where she had running water and all this other great stuff. She knows where she came from. She's proud where she came from, but she doesn't want to go back to where she came from. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's how bad a matriarchy really is.
Yeah, I think that's a part of progress, right? At some point, you do have to just close the book, or at some point you do have to just submit what. There's really no.
Who's eating right now?
I think that's been Billy. I hate to bust you out, man. But...
Like, wait a minute. He's really going to town on that bag.
Sorry, man.
We're like, I'm
about to get a PSA on you for that bag.
We're talking about North Shore phone. It's like it sounds like he's got cookies in his mouth. I mean,
right?
bookend
He's
because,
eating
like,
Doritos right now, probably.
It's
He's probably eating curry
cookies.
chicken.
That's why I've been so quiet.
I was talking with Billy about Tico about this in two separate topics, but I think the main thing that I was highlighting that was kind of bothering me, and I was using my community to manage my emotions, like what Billy was saying, but I was talking about like discount or short-sighted or even involved skepticism, where just because they can produce a better product or outcome than somebody who's speaking their truth, that they deserve to be skeptical about it, even if they only hear a snippet or portion of what the person is saying.
Yeah, I think speaking of discounts, you told me somebody sounded like a discount. Think before you sleep.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, discount. I was like, I can see that. That's probably why I don't watch that channel. But I watch Think Before You Sleep. But for somebody to be a discount Think Before You Sleep, that's pretty bad.
And this count, like in this sense, is like where information is inflated to the point where many people can do almost the same joke, if you will, or the same riff or the same perspective about, but also it being true to life, and that there are a lot of people who are, put in this stable of, or this like one-sided way of viewing things, like how you were just describing before, how people are kind of, they come from a village, but they never want to go back to that.
Yeah, there are people that live in a village that are perfectly fine living in the village, and they haven't really experienced life, basically. But there's people that,
or there's people
people that live in the best way I can describe it to you, it'd be like a person that grew up in the hood, never left the hood, but think he knows the whole entire world.
Would always want to talk shit about well, I get it.
Everybody else in the whole entire world and every other city, and how it's basically like, if you ever notice, a lot of the black people who have the mentality that black people will never amount to anything and all they could be is just what they do in the hood, basically, are the people that typically never really leave the hood. Like, the minute a black person leaves the hood and goes to like somewhere like Vegas, it's like, it's still America, yeah, but it's one of those things where like you'll experience some shit. The funny thing about that is getting black people and taking them to China or out of the country in general. Their perspective on life really changes. Billy, is that you?
All kinds of
Me doing what?
Hey Billy, I'm gonna need you to take your microphone away from the rare earth magnet.
Sound like you were starting a truck or a car, a very, very powerful engine car.
No.
I don't know. Hey, step away from the Tesla coil. It's interfering with your mic. Stop arcing the Tesla coil. Like,
now Yam sound like he's muffled now.
Prime example is like when I went to Jordan, it changed my whole perspective of the world. You know, because you had people like on my deployment, you had people from Australia, you had people from the Ukraine, Russia, some people from China, which I can't figure out how in the world the person from Australia called me crazy. You know.
Well, typically they refer to, like, you can tell the difference between an American tourist and all other tourists, basically, because American tourists do a certain thing in every country. They typically do all the time. I
mean, I usually just say hi to everybody, just try to be friendly, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, I guess I must have did something on one of the training exercises, and I guess word got around, and apparently I'm crazy.
Hey. Well, sometimes that happens.
Or I guess I have a crazy look in my eyes or something. One of the Jordanian soldiers saw a crazy look in my eyes.
Hey.
Well, you did say earlier that you walk around smirking.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. Some countries that's disrespectful.
Well, yeah. People who smirk typically are American or.
I mean,
not that. So simple. Simple as that for that. Simply smirk.
I mean, they kind of look. I guess I must have had a wild-eyed look.
smirking over there. Seems like he's been to a monster truck rally or two, or he's potentially seen like a hot dog eating contest in his life.
A hot dog eating contest. Wow, really?
Yeah. Or maybe he's like throwing a ball at a target and a munchkin has gone in the water. Probably is what you could assume from that smirk. It's just a person who's experienced some leisure. You know.
True, I'll give you that.
You can't really.
I mean, that was before I got in contact with the Redpill.
You can't really smirk and worry about survival. You kind of
it also looks kind of scary when you're behind the 50 cal.
Yeah, it also shows that you're preoccupied with something, you know, in your head. You're like typically a smirk never really fits the moment. It's always like, oh, you know, everybody's serious, but this dude over here has got some weird goofy smile on his face.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, when it turns into a maniacal grin when you're behind a 50 cal, I guess that's what they saw, a maniacal grin.
Maybe.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with a maniacal grin. The irony to it is that it all depends on what you're doing. As long as you're not tying people to train tracks and filling your mustache while you're doing it, I think you're pretty much okay.
Okay.
Unless you're like slaughtering a village full of people, then that's a whole other story. But typically a grin is pretty good. Like case in point, I get a nice grin when I start shooting certain guns on my face.
I
ain't gonna even lie, like I do sometimes. Or when I get to drive a car very, very fast for no reason whatsoever, but just to do it, I get a grin across my face.
I kind of busted out an uncontrollable laughter when I fired the AT4.
Well, yeah, that's your thing basically. Just like sometimes you'll see Infamous Rifle smile when he fires some guns, depending on the gun. Like he's smiling right now, thinking about it.
I actually am. I haven't had any therapy in a while.
I'm actually thinking about the first time I fired a Smith & Wesson 500.
Have y'all ever met that person that like feels really bad when they fire a gun? Like they feel guilty? Sometimes I get those people in my life.
I've seen people that get scared after firing a gun or get scared before firing and after firing it, and they put it down very quickly, like holy shit.
Oh.
I've seen those people. I don't think I've ever seen somebody that apologizes for firing a gun.
Yeah, never.
Would you imagine that?
I don't believe they don't exist, but they probably do. But I never met one yet.
Could you imagine that? Bang, sorry, bang, sorry, bang, sorry, bang, sorry.
Matter of fact, I
only do
that sounds like a Canadian. I was just about to say that. Thanks for beating to the bunch. Sorry.
Global platforms.
Sorry.
You don't want them to run out of breath. They'd have to do a lot of conditioning, probably, just to get that right fit. But yeah, man, I think wind. Man, what is it? What is it that makes them think you're crazy? I mean, you seem kind of laid back all the time. You know, it just if you have,
no, because Wynn has his moments. Trust me, Wynn has his moments. He said, "Look, even Infamous Rifle said, yeah."
Well,
He has his moments.
You see, I don't know how long you've known him, but when he was MGTOW in the wind, he had a slightly different attitude than he does now.
Yeah, he does. But the sad part about that is he still has that attitude in person. When I try to see his ass, or when I pick him up from the truck stop, or anytime we hang out, he always has that attitude. So it's like he's still the same Wynn. He's just a very laid back version of Wynn. Now, he does get very passionate and angry and irate about things still to this day. Don't get me wrong, but he's still the same Wynn, in other words.
I've never
met a person that's so, like, anti, like, doesn't want to be around people, but still managed to get himself in so much trouble. Like, typically...
Yeah, that's Wynn. Mr. Antisocial Social, get himself in trouble.
Got a like on Facebook. Shout out to Jordan Daniels. But I've never run into somebody like that before, and like Wynn's told me one time that I don't trust him because I just associate him with everybody that I entered in the manosphere with, and I don't think that's necessarily true. I think I do. I do trust him, and yet it's more or less like
Here's the thing.
think that
I think here's the thing this is what I find funny about this dynamic that y'all two have. I think Yam actually trusts Win more than he actually trusts me.
yeah. What you said about not being approachable, I don't think it's true for me, but also it throws me off sometimes. Like if I know Tico's gonna be at a thing, it's just like it psychs me out. Whereas like if I think Win's gonna be somewhere, it's
like I gotta go meet Win now. Yay!
harass somebody, you know. But you know, I don't. It's not like I never take shots at you, Tico, or something.
Oh,
or
you do, but it's like
it's
I
like
would say that you trust Win more than you trust me. At the end of the day.
yeah. Whereas I don't.
But the irony to it is, you're more similar to me than you are to Win.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's some deep stuff there. Then, so what you're saying is now don't take this the wrong way, but it's like,
or I don't trust myself or something. You know, that's what it's like.
Well,
that's pretty much what it is.
Go ahead, Billy.
It's Tico's a bit more intimidating, so that means you're a bit more frightened of him. And if you're supposed to, if you see yourself in him, that means you're frightened of yourself.
Facts. Facts. I've been doing that for a while now.
Yeah, you never see me with an M4 in my hands.
I would just assume that anytime I'm afraid of him, it's because
The
of
sad
how.
part about that, you with a gun is actually very funny and cute.
Who, me?
Yeah, you with a gun is very funny and cute. That's basically like Lazo. That'd be like Lazo running around with a M4. Like, that's cute. I like that. Like that's pretty much
How is that acute when you're with an M4?
Because you're basically like my son Lazo with an M4 or a gun.
You've actually seen me with an M4?
I can imagine you with a gun based on your personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust
it's
me.
like you always want to try something
I took you to a shooting range. I bet you I can get the same reaction out of you that I get out of Laszlo.
Wow. Wow.
Oh shoot.
But yeah, this is a good breakthrough though, Billy. I think the fact that I reach out to Win so much to talk to him is because it kind of gives me a break from acknowledging that I am different than him in a way. And I for a moment I can feel like Win, like normal. I can feel like I can feel like a
thanks, like Win, like normal. That's guy.
Well, it's kind of like it's saying. I don't know if it's because like with Wind, because he like demonstrates his knowledge of weaponry and stuff. So it kind of shows a level of confidence and reassurance. You can kind of trust this lethal killer.
It also tickles your imagination too. If you've never been in the military or armed forces, if you've never fired a gun, talking to Wind is just like a treat because you get. But if you were, let's say, if you were like a seasoned veteran or something like, if you talk to Wind, there's like a limit because he's gonna. You guys are gonna be rattling off facts, and that gets boring because it's like you both have experienced it.
Right. Or it's like a seasoned vet with me is like I'm a treat.
Well,
basically.
hey, I'm British, right? So we don't have guns over here. Now, if you gave me a gun, I'm probably going to be quite a giggly. The power will go to my head instantly, and I'll be running off into the night like a maniac, trying to find a. So I'm pretty sure your level of confidence in me would be ultra low. Like, stay away from Billy if he's got a gun. I'll probably be a danger to myself. I'll probably end up shooting. I'll be too tempted to look down the barrel.
Jack the Chopper.
Yeah, I once even bought an airsoft pistol as a gag gift, and I thought I was going a little bit crazy because I was like, I just look. I'm me with a gun, just looking at myself for the gag. I was like, yeah, if you actually got a real gun, I feel like you'd be going. You would just, I don't know. I wouldn't trust myself with a real gun. But
like it's basically said, it's about knowing the responsibility of that gun, of that firearm.
or knowing yourself in general is like what I always
Exactly.
talk about. Like I've always admitted that I am a monster. I am a criminal. I am a monster, and I will do certain things that are unthinkable because it's where I grew up at, my mentality and who I am. Knowing that I'm a monster actually keeps that monster at bay most of the times, well, a lot of the times, because I know who I am and I'm comfortable with who I am, so I'm well aware of the monster that dwells within me. So a lot of times the monster stays dormant because I know myself to the fullest.
Well, why?
This is what I was just.
How come you never because that's one thing. Like, if you know who you are, you know you're a monster. That's one thing. But how come you never feel like you understand where you came from, but you understand it's not always appropriate to be that way?
Well, it's not that though. You also got to take consideration too. A lot of stuff changed in my life to actually get me to that point. You also have I lost a wife. I lost stuff. I had daughters, which actually changes your whole entire perspective on life when you're a man.
Yeah,
Drastically. I'm pretty sure Billy the Goat can attest to this because I'm pretty sure Billy the Goat got himself into a whole lot of hijinks before he had a daughter. When he had a daughter, I'm willing to bet most of that shit dropped off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's one of those things when you have daughters.
To shenanigans, but I don't compare.
It's when you have a daughter, like case in point, I always tell people if I had sons, I'd be a dick still. I'd be an asshole, certified asshole dick right now. But the fact that I had daughters made me a much more milder version of who I was. Now, don't get me wrong. If you fuck with my loved ones or my friends and shit like that, I will pretty much do stuff to you that would make Charlie Manson blush. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but I ain't got, like I said, for me it's like I still don't have any kids.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. That's like the only time when I'm ever really approachable is when you see me with my children in public, or when you see me with friends in public or family in public. That's typically when I'm probably when I look like I'm the most approachable, and that's typically a lot of the times when I get hit on too. Which I
like watching people fall down on the trail.
Yeah, I was with you. I was with you that day watching a person fall down on the trail. I just laughed. You just said something out loud.
The person they stumbled. They only stumbled.
No, they fell. They fell to the point where she literally had to put her hand down on the ground, basically behind her, to keep her ass from falling on her ass.
Yeah, yes, she did.
Yeah.
I laughed about it.
I just said that would have been funny if she would have. If that would have been funny.
Yeah, it would have.
Yeah,
it would have. She got an attitude when it was the funniest shit in the world.
and I was smiling about it too.
Yeah, I was cracking up. I was like damn near on the ground rolling. So I seen her falling because she tried to cut down that steep path. I was like, she's gonna fall. She's gonna fall. She's gonna fall. No!
Typically, you can notice that from
basically
5 seconds away. Especially if you're a martial arts trainee or something like that.
You can tell that after martial arts training if you're actually trained in martial arts and you're not trying to be some kick-ass badass person. You're just trying to be a martial artist instead of you're trying to learn the martial science, not the martial arts, basically. Whereas people that typically do that, they typically don't, and they typically are always looking. I notice people that typically learn martial arts are always looking for a fucking fight for no reason whatsoever.
Ah man, for me it's I learned I learned military science. I like learning military science,
martial arts,
like history and science, because that also a lot does something. But if you pair that with I'm not gonna look at it. If you martial arts has one dynamic, understanding group military science
Well, because there's martial arts centers, martial science.
Yes.
Learning the science of martial arts is what you really want to do. Learning just the martial arts is basically just learning just the martial arts. And that's typically, you can tell the difference between the practitioners based on their approach to life or their approach to how they apply it in life, ironically. Like I said, a lot of martial artists be I got a black belt and I'll kick your ass. Whereas martial science would be it's whatever.
And it's you also understand how your body works and how the human body in general works.
You also study your opponent's body to see how it works or what their weak points are or their or their center of balance is, or where their center of balance isn't, or stuff along the lines of that. It's typically what
Right.
you do with martial science.
Also, every accident that you have with end up where you accidentally strike your own body, you actually know the general area where to strike on a person to render that part of the body useless temporarily.
Actually, I find it funny that you guys we're talking about this now because I was just watching like some Khabib Nurmagomedov highlights, and a lot of it I feel like once you get to a certain level, it is about art. Because if you think about it, like performatively, he plays a mental game with his opponent. He does the same thing every single time, and there's there's a lot of science. Like he spends a lot of time studying different martial arts, like stuff that would make it so that like you're confused as to how he actually gets people in the exact same position all the time when they could study him. But he plays this game where he's not only is he knowledgeable about stuff, but he's just like this cold person. It's almost like lion's heart.
Here's the best way to think about that: getting people in the same position all the time. Think of it like this: there's a lot of wrestlers in the wrestling world. Basically.
Just about to say wrestling.
Yeah, there's a lot of wrestlers in the wrestling world. They all got their own finishing moves. You basically want a finishing move that you can pull off from any position, anywhere in the ring, anywhere outside the ring, or anywhere that your opponent could possibly be. Like if your opponent's jumping off the top rope, you could probably pull off the Bubba Cutter, the Stone Cold Stunner, or the RKO for all intents and purposes. You see what I'm saying? So you basically want a move that you can basically apply across the board, no matter if your opponent is trying to kick you, jump on you, jump off something onto you, or coming at you full speed.
Yeah, I noticed
there's certain finishing moves that you really got to stop them and actually literally grab them and actually do it, or do a setup just so you can actually pull off the finishing move. Like the Stone Cold Stunner can be done from anywhere. Like you can literally kick somebody in the stomach and stun them off the ropes after running. You see what I'm saying? So
that like the way that things evolved is like you got these guys who have a tremendous star power, but it really is just like the versatility of their move sets. They're like
the RKO. Like matter of fact, there's a video on YouTube of a cutout Randy Orton doing an RKO on random people getting fucked up. Like there was this chick on a ladder. He said RKO. They basically have him sneaking out of nowhere doing an RKO on everybody. And their mishaps, basically.
He's the
That's
biggest.
the reason why the RKO is so dangerous. Out of nowhere.
I wish that chick could have gotten that one. Like, no, RKO.
Yeah, matter of fact, there was an ice bucket challenge that failed that they did an RKO on. He hit both the people with an RKO. Like that's literally how versatile. That's literally how versatile the RKO is. So you always want a move that you can actually always apply at any given time, anywhere. Anyway, like you've literally seen Randy Orton catch somebody off the top rope with the RKO.
Yeah, if you're gonna see like a meme out there of Rikishi, he just smothering his butt into everybody's face, it wouldn't work as much because it's just not as
you need them to be in a certain position to do that. You see what I'm saying?
You need them to be. You also need to put the person to be fat to do that.
Yeah, like the frog splash. The frog splash only works if the person's going to stay there.
An RKO could deliver a baby.
Huh?
RKO?
RKO is delivering a baby.
Oh, yeah.
You did the RKO when you delivered your baby?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God, Billy. What? Who'd you hit with the RKO, the baby or the doctor?
They had to check if it's they had to check to make sure, like the cry check. I'm pretty sure that would work. RKO.
Yeah, okay. That probably killed the baby at that point.
Oh no! On the baby.
Basically, that's the reason why he didn't get him in it. Because if you know your abilities, you know the move, and you know the person's movement and what they're going to do, you're going to basically always pull off the same move every single time.
Yeah,
without
it's
fail.
Like a Ticoism almost, right? I mean, like I feel like we talk about new things all the time, but Tico has certain like stories that just apply to multiple different things. And it's like and it's just like everybody tries to come and dismantle it, and they get hit with the same game plan, and they psych themselves out. Like I said, like me.
It's one of those things where it's like this is the reason why I actually use my life to tell the red pill. Because you can't really debunk my life if I witnessed it and multiple other people witnessed it and when witnessed it or whoever else was with me witnessed it. It's like you can't really debunk real life shit, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like I typically try not to bring hypotheticals into it, or I try not to bring like all the other craziness that a lot of people bring into it, and I basically make it more realistic so people can understand it on a basic level. Like, it's kind of like what I was saying the one day about the one dude on BitChute that says, you don't sound like you're MGTOW. You sound more realistic. Literally what he said to me. Now, I responded with that, well, thank you, but there are MGTOWs that actually are realistic, but you don't really get to hear none of those ones. But I'm red pill, by the way.
Yeah, you hear a lot of the ones that screech the loudest or is like all hating women. And they're basically the red pill ragers or the incels who are pretending to be MGTOW.
Yeah, it's not that
that's what normies see.
Yeah, that's what they see on a regular basis, and it's sad. And the sad part about that, somebody like me is like very, very odd to them, and like when I say something, it's more realistic, and it's like, well, I understand that now. It's like there's a reason why I use the analogies that I use. Kind of like when I talk about female nature in the video, I go, I'm not mad at female nature. Female nature is female nature. That'd be like me going to the zoo during feeding time and fucking with the lion, jumping over the fence and fucking with the lion to see what happened, basically. That's pretty much what I did. Yeah, fuck around and find out type thing, basically. So it's like, that's pretty much female nature in a nutshell. And I literally described it just like jumping over the fence and going to go mess with some lions. 9 times out of 10, there's not going to be a great outcome to that. It's and like you basically know it, and it's common sense now, so why are you doing it?
And there's not going to be much left of you except for bones.
You might get lucky, because the one time somebody jumped over, they got lucky.
Yeah,
I don't know how they got lucky, but they got lucky. But I was expecting them to get eaten by the lion, but they didn't.
But then they ate. They ate the lion. You know,
no, they didn't eat the lion, simpleton. They did not eat the lion, simpleton. But it's one of those things where it's like that lady literally got lucky. That was like a Karen type. That was a Karen moment where Karen should have been eaten by the lion or a tiger, but Karen didn't get eaten by the lion or the tiger.
You know what's so scary, so sad that the Karens are so bad that the lions don't want her. Who are you? Who are you?
Like
Simba, let me speak to your manager.
Wind, I really don't see you doing well getting flirted with in the workplace. Have you ever had issues with that? Have you ever done that?
No, never had that issue.
When flirts with women by accident.
Yeah.
Remember who was on the phone with him when he was hitting on the lady? He's kind of hitting on a lady at the Latin place.
Yeah, she was like, "How do you like your?" You know, she said his answer.
She asked a real genuine question, and Wynn turned around in Wynn's fashion and said, "What? Yeah, go."
She said something like it was. So the exact words were, "Yeah," out of Wynn's mouth was, "Yeah, I like spicy, but I don't."
Literally what Wynn said.
I think it was the repetition. Like if somebody says, "Do you want spicy? Do you want spice in your food?" You would say what? Yes, right? Yes. But the fact
in Wynn fashion, Wynn said, "Yeah, I love spicy. I like spicy a lot."
Like
and she started giggling. She started giggling like a little schoolgirl. Funniest shit I've ever heard on the phone.
So I very much doubt that you would be able to, that you would understand if somebody's flirting with you or not. I don't think that you'd be able to figure out like that you're being.
Her voice even changed and went up a couple optics. The more feminine voice and every damn thing when she was talking to Wynn. I shit you not.
Hey, look, I know.
Like he didn't just say what he just said and just kept on ordering.
Hey, look, I got my food pretty fast.
Yeah, you did get your food very quickly in a Latin restaurant. I'd say so. Shit. Hit on the right person, you'll get your food very quickly.
No, literally
stole somebody else's food and gave it to you.
I'm on the
Hey, look. All I know is if when I first came in there, I was in the line. There were no flames coming off the grill. Next thing I know, the next thing you know, she starts giggling. All the dudes in the back started crank the heat up, and all of a sudden the flames started. It was like flambe.
You
Let's
can
get this man out of here. He's hitting on our girl.
when he's getting flirted with, you know what the look he has on his face? It's like a smirk, like he just fired a machine gun or something. He's like,
Yeah, literally.
she thinks it's about her, but it's not. It's about firearms. You know, it's like it's just ridiculous when you're you're in this whole other different mental space when somebody is like obviously trying to flirt with you.
Yeah, he is.
But that's
almost like it's almost like it's basically he's being oblivious, but he's in a different headspace altogether. So he literally makes his own self a monk by accident. By missing signals on purpose or accident. Like,
and that's kind of I guess that's one subconsciously. That's why I was trying to tear into the skeptic community, because I think like some people's intelligence is their downfall. You know, I think Wynn's just he's just like thinking about engine parts and you know, and like ammunition, you know, casing,
how fast to put together an M4 or something like that, or
spatially exactly how, you know, how to prevent his yacht from tipping over in his head.
He's pure dead at this point.
He's like the opposite of Fresh. You know, Fresh is figuring out how to get women on the yacht. Wynn's trying to figure out how to keep women off the yacht.
Basically, that's Wynn in a nutshell.
I think that there's just something that's so chill about Wynn, even though he's like an angry son of a bitch sometimes. You know,
he's an angry son of a bitch all the time. What do you mean? Like most of the time.
All the time. Even when he did that, he tried to pull that tactic in this live stream where he was like, some people who are angry and not calm will try to again. It's like, Wynn, you mean
that's you, nigga, that's you.
You can tell when you're trying to consciously calm yourself down.
Uh-huh.
But it's just like, yeah, and girls can tell that too. Like that's my thing. I had to realize is like, there's probably a lot.
Wynn gets hit on from the shit that he accidentally says.
Yeah,
I get hit on based on my facial expression and a coat I'm wearing.
And you're dangerous, right?
I mean, I'm not dangerous.
No, that's a good point. You never get.
Well, Wynn's not dangerous. Wynn, like I said, Wynn gets himself hit on by accident.
Yeah.
I get hit on, like, case in point. I went to the one red place in Homewood, Dreams. It's called Dream.
Oh, that place.
Oh yeah. There's this girl that works behind the counter. I asked for a full rack of ribs, and you get like two.
What you would call? I know what you. Showcase. Showcase cinema.
It's called Dream now. It's called Dream now. They changed the name.
What the heck?
Yeah, it's the same place, but they call it Dream now. So this woman literally gave me a whole rack of ribs. Then she proceeded to give me another half a rack of ribs and like 3/4 of a rib basically on top of the rib that she already gave me. It was so bad that the shit didn't even want to close, so she had to saran wrap that bitch closed.
Dang.
That's how bad it was. So it was literally my facial expression, how I was responding to her, and my mannerisms that had her literally like putting extra shit in the ribs container, which was sad. But like you know, everybody else is watching, looking all jealous and shit like that. And I'm getting extra ribs for no damn reason and stuff like that. The woman behind me looking at me like, what the hell's really going on?
Hey, look.
And I don't want to just focus on Wynn, dude. I could tell just by listening to Infamous Rifle's voice that he probably gets hit on, and or he does some subtle flirting and stuff that like
yeah.
I can tell the way that
yeah. When I was working at the law office, I had girls that were like low key hitting on me, and now I have certain rules about that. I don't mess with any girls that I work with. But I knew they were doing it, and there have been some times where, like, I've been flirted with, and then I thought about it later, and I was like, wait a minute, because I would go back, I could just go about my business, and later I'd be like, wait a minute, I think that girl was flirting with me. But you're absolutely right. They do say like intelligence kind of is a detriment in a way when it comes to this sort of thing, like because you're too busy, you're in your head, and a lot of times, you're not paying attention. But yeah, that's definitely happened to me both ways. Sometimes I'm like, when I'm on it, like when I'm in tune, like I know, I've had enough experience where I know if the girl's interested or not, and how to progress. But like, I just lately, I don't know, I just haven't really cared too much about it.
Well, I have a question, whether by instinct or by your own, maybe like something that you've noticed in like the red pill or something. Do you ever go out of your way to like try to, because I think it's very hard. I think I have like a theory. It's very hard to not be attracted to somebody that would be attracted to you. So like, do you ever go out of your way to sort of not, I'm not talking about go like win, like where you try to dress, like wear sweatpants with a belt.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So yes.
it was with a belt.
There's a bit of intelligence.
Yeah, you were wearing that when at one time I picked you up from the Smithton truck stop.
How much? Okay, I have a better way.
I get what you're saying, and the answer is actually yes, but it's for particular individuals, right? Like I'll know that this girl's into me, and I'll just know that she's nothing but trouble, and I'm not about getting myself into trouble or dealing with drama, and I know like I could fuck her, and I could get away with that. But once you fuck her, then you might get in trouble, because these are those stage 6 Klingons.
Yeah.
That once you give them what they want, they're going to be like, I had one girl before I moved to where I'm at now, and I go over there and I fuck her, and she's like starting to talk about marriage and getting a ring and shit. That was the first time I fucked her, and it was
look.
It must have been real good for her to talk about rings and shit.
Look, all I know is like I could have been a stepfather, but I didn't. But I wasn't. But I didn't.
We don't even have sex, and women already start talking about marriage around us. You and I win, so it's like kind of a dick.
Long story short, I ran and never looked back. Like,
I looked.
So you
that's
say
typically how you have to deal with a lot of those people. Like you have to run and keep on running.
Oh, and don't help the kid.
Like because people always ask me, why in the world did your girl literally kidnap you? Did you give her like some serious D? I go, I didn't even give her a D yet. Like,
yeah,
like it must have been my winning personality or something. I don't know, but
hey, look, I
must have left a serious impression on her. But that's what she did. It's like I didn't even give her a D yet. Like I can imagine if I'd have gave her a D, I'd have probably been kidnapped and shit sooner.
Yeah, I ain't been kidnapped yet, so I'm good.
I've had a female stalker before. It's not fun.
Yeah, no, it's not fun at all.
I helped the kid with a juice box.
It's really annoying, actually.
Yeah, it's like we're a female. It's like when a woman has a stalker, it's scary to her, obviously, and she's freaked out. Some women actually get turned on by it and find it very fun and exhilarating, but typically it's kind of scary. Whereas a man, it's just annoying.
Yeah, I'm low drama. I don't want to deal with that shit.
Yeah,
like case in point, like a man basically just wants to be chill and left alone. Like when a man's stalking a woman, you basically know the man is there. When a woman's stalking a man, you basically don't know she's there until like something's either broken or something's broken into, or you got like a love letter slid under your door. Not that I never experienced that. I'm not going to say anything like that, but
or she just
stuff
knows
like that happens.
Everything. She just knows everything about you. Like say if you have social media, if you're on social media, she just happens to know everything about you and what you're doing.
Or she happens to be at all the places that you're at.
Yeah.
Dang,
I don't say where I'm going.
Not that I know anything about that, like I said, but
dang, I got off lucky.
I've had one or two.
Yes. You seriously did.
Man,
you don't
dang, I got off lucky.
Like I've had women I was talking to. It didn't even give her the D yet. That literally bust the windows out my car.
Oh my God bless.
Like I didn't even stick it in her. Like they say don't stick your dick in crazy. I never even stuck my dick in her, and she already flipped the script and already was busting out windows in my car. I had one woman, the same woman, matter of fact, flatten my tires on my car after I got the windows fixed on it.
Wow.
Then she keyed the car, and then you remember that country song? The country song, what's her name? Took
Yeah,
my
yeah,
keys
yeah.
and to the side.
Carrie Underwood, yeah.
Yeah, that song. Yeah, it was kind of a mixture of
He cheats.
Jasmine Sullivan and Carrie Underwood, basically. Where Jasmine Sullivan's talking about I busted the windows out his car, and then you got Carrie over here talking about carving her name into the seat and shit like that, and taking a Louisville Slugger to both headlights. Yeah, it was basically like that.
That's what that's what I try to avoid. So I have.
Yeah, I try to avoid that too.
I basically do to women what they do to like the beta males they put in the friend zone. I give them the same thing. Like I know they're interested, but I just try to treat them like a friend, and they're hoping that I'll, they're just like beta males. Actually, that's what's funny. They're hoping that they just keep hanging around me, then I'm going to change my mind and
we should
decide to fuck them. And I'm like, no.
Video that we should
it's kind of like what I was saying in a one video.
Don't stick your dick in crazy. Period.
Yeah, never stick your dick in crazy. Yeah,
do not break that rule ever.
Yeah, because I've haven't really gotten the pleasure of doing that, but I've gotten all the not so great benefits of fallout from even if I never stuck my dick in them. It's like one of those things where it's like she had in her mind that we've already fucked, so she want to fuck, and it never happened. So now she's outside busting the windows on my car, slashing tires. Yeah, it's like what? It's kind of like what I said about Mina when I first met Mina. Where she told women already know that they pretty much fucked you in their mind because they'll literally fuck you multiple times in their mind before they actually fuck you, literally. And I always said this to men, typically a woman already knows she done already had sex with you in her mind multiple times, many times, or however many times. Basically, she's already played it in her mind. If she likes you, she's already done it.
Yeah, she's already mind fucked you.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's that's when you know somebody's interested in you. And I was telling Wynn the one day, I told Yam this too. I was like, my grandmother always told me never ask a woman for her number. If you have to ask a woman for her number, she's automatically friends material. Typically, women that are interested in you will give you her number in the middle of a conversation without even asking for it.
Yeah, they will. For those of you who are interested in dealing with women, they will, if they really are interested in you, they will go out of their way to get in your space.
Yeah.
They'll come up with excuses to be near you, and then they're hoping that, things escalate from there. True. And yes, if she's interested in you, she will get on your social media if you have it and stalk you on there. She will give you her number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think of it like how you met your best friend, your best guy friend, basically. How y'all literally exchanged numbers the way y'all did is literally the same way that if a woman's very interested in you, would exchange her number.
Yeah, she she wasn't a lot of these people weren't that interested in me, Well,
no, because the sad part about that, you were only around for a limited time before that anything can actually transpire. It's not like it's not like you're going to see them multiple times. Trust me, if you were talking to that Latin woman multiple times, if you were to see her multiple times, you'd probably have her number by now.
Yeah, well, it's also a tell too, because if they don't invest in you that much, then they might still fuck you, but they ain't bad investment in you. They want you around for some other reason, which is usually monetary or just to soak up all your attention and shit.
Or sex. But basically, if they sleep with you, you're probably going to be one of their sneaky links, or you're going to be one of their side pieces, basically.
Yeah, and I'll warn you against being the other guy too. I just it's nothing good comes from it. You might be thinking I'm getting ass and all that shit, but I'm just telling you, nothing good happens with being the other guy that she's sneaking off to fuck you. Just don't do it, man.
No, I've always been good. The neat thing about being the other guy, I've always been good and blessed not to be caught by the actual guy.
Yeah, but then there's another thing. They'll start feeling guilty, and then they're like, "Well, I've been fucking someone behind your back," and then just don't do it, guys. You young guys, especially. I know you're thinking
it sounds fun, but it's really not all that
pussy
fun.
And all that shit. But just if you want to live a drama-free life,
there's actually things attached to that pussy, another person. Another whole entire life, crazy, things like that, narcissism. There's a lot of stuff attached to that pussy, basically, that you don't really think about at the time because all you think about is getting pussy, basically.
And believe it or not, that's a lot of what I get in my inbox is fucking married women. And I do that same technique I just told you earlier. Because I know what they're about. I know what they want. I'm just not going to complicate my life by fucking involving myself. I did it before, and that's how I know I've made the fucking mistake. I'm not doing it again.
True.
So y'all would say that it helps you more than it hurts you, like this mentality. Obviously, it helps you protect yourself.
Yeah.
Well, what is your goal?
Yeah, what is your goal? What is your
say-
ultimate goal? It's kind of like what I said about the reason why I think the way I do and believe the way I do based on the fact that I was stabbed in the back by a friend. This is the reason why I live my life the way I do and I am who I am, basically, because of that very incident. So I treat everybody accordingly at the end of the day. You see what I'm saying? So the question is, what is your goal? My goal is basically never to be in that situation ever again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Never trust somebody that much to be in that situation ever again, basically. It
And
don't matter what it is. Let it be sex, let it be a friend, let it be family, let it be anybody. Anybody can get it, basically, at this point in time. And everybody's equal opportunity for catching the shit into the stick, basically.
And you got to think, like, some of you guys might think that it's all great that I got these girls in my inbox or whatnot, but you got to think about it from the other side. Let's say your goal was to have a good relationship and children and a family and all that fun stuff. Then you got to think about, like, what if she's doing that to you? What if there's this other guy that she's dealing with behind your back? Now, that would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And so I'm just seeing it, and I'm not like 100%. I'm not like some fucking Chad or nothing like that. It's just, I don't know. I have some girls like you and some don't. Put it to you that way. You just do it for a certain demographic of women. There's something about
like
you.
it's kind of like it's like kind of like what I was talking about, depending on what I'm wearing and how my facial hair is. Like typically when I'm more scruffier, a different demographic of women are attracted to me. When it's shorter and more trimmed and I look like Ghost from Power, typically there's another demographic of women that like me. When I'm dressed up nicely, there's a certain demographic of women that like me. When I'm dressed like a gangster, there's a certain demographic of women that like me. Now the women that like me when I was dressed up typically like me less.
I mean,
you know what I mean.
There's
So
a demographic of women that are repulsed by me. So you know, that's just how it is. If that's your goal, if your goal is to be a MGTOW and not deal with women, then
I mean,
you're going to repulse a lot of women. But there are women who hate my guts, but still want to fuck me.
Well, that's kind of yeah. That's
like
grudge fuck or hate fuck.
It's not a woman that's like, oh, super ugly, but that you still are like sexually attracted to them. It's kind of like the only reason you do it is if you're desperate.
I did have that too. I had it to where there was this one girl that I knew that hated my fucking guts, hated my guts, and then over time, that basically got reversed.
Wow.
Yeah.
You agree on.
Well, the sad part about that is when it comes down to it, it's one of those things where like a lot of the women that typically get to that point, it's either I rub them the wrong way and I rub them the right way at the same damn time. It's like they hate my guts, but they're turned on by the fact that I'm just so brash and mean and rude and stuff like that. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, why am I feeling this way? You know, it's one of those things where it's like they're mad at you and they're angry with you. But the sad part about that is if you ever notice something, you think about psychology when it comes to women. If a woman is angry at a certain person, she's invested in being angry at that certain person, man or woman. Now, if it's another woman, it's one of those things where it's like just a bunch of drama, and it's like, think of it like a soap opera or Dynasty, basically. She's trying to ruin me type shit, basically. If it's another man, you got to watch her now. If she's very angry or upset with another man, the fact that she's angry and upset with another man, you got to watch that. That is a red flag and a half. First off, why is she angry at this man? What transpired to make her angry with this man? Does she have any feelings for this man outside of being angry? Can something transpire from this incident to make it so that something else will happen, or, you know, they turn into a sneaky links, or, you know, anything like that? Because the neat thing about women is that's typically how a lot of time how women get away with a lot of their flings and sneaky links, sadly, they get your best friend, and they get like quote unquote hate your best friend's guts, but they're sleeping with your best friend. You ever notice that?
Oh, they love that.
Oh yeah,
that's one of their favorite games to play right there.
Yeah, or another relative or something like that. They hate your cousin, but they're banging your cousin behind your back.
Yeah. Oh, my neck. Oh, that felt good.
That's something that you need to watch for, sadly, if you're going to try the whole entire dating thing.
Yeah. But but for me, it's like I just dress however I damn well feel, unless it's a special fucking occasion.
Yeah, and that's the neat thing. That's the neat thing when it comes to women. It's like
keep you out of trouble.
It's one of those things where, like, when it comes to women, there's in this day and age, right now, in this day and age, there's too many fucking variables, basically. Way too many variables that you got to watch out for. That will literally stress you out to watch out for. So I typically say, if there's too many variables, you might as well just leave it alone.
But wouldn't you say that? But wouldn't you guys say that being aware of all this stuff at least makes it a little bit more comfortable, or do you think
ignorance is bliss?
No, it doesn't. Ignorance is not bliss. Knowing all this stuff, if you actually accepted the red pill fully, and you're not angry anymore, you're not doing stupid stuff, you're not in the now, it typically makes it more palatable and understandable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Before when you were in the now, it was not palatable. You didn't want to eat it, nor did you want to swallow it. And you wanted to spit it out. Now that you actually swallowed the red pill and you actually took it and you understand it, it's more palatable. You're more likely to take it on and eat it.
Look at the term of DABTA: denial, anger, bargaining, acceptance.
Well, no, it's not even that though, because when you actually accept the red pill and you actually take it fully and you understand it for what it is, you understand the world for what it is, you basically don't even have to worry about none of that stuff. It's kind of like, think of it like a food that you didn't like before, you didn't think you were going to like
Brussels sprouts.
Case in point, crab mac and cheese, basically. We'll say lobster mac and cheese or crab mac and cheese. Didn't really think I would like it. Didn't think I would be okay with it. Didn't really think I would be too good with it, basically. Now, it's like, after a while, it's basically like, well, before I didn't want to try it. Even though when I looked at it, I didn't like the smell. Didn't like the fact that there was extra shit in it, basically. Now, if I go to a fancy restaurant and they have it, it's probably my appetizer, basically. You see what I'm saying? Now I'm more likely to take it on and eat it and taste it and, understand it more, for all intents and purposes, is the best way to put it. I'm more likely it's more palatable to me now than when it used to be. That's the same thing when it comes to the red pill. When you're in the now, it's not palatable. You don't want to eat it, nor do you want to hear it, nor do you want to take it. When you do take it and you do take it in fully, it's more palatable to you, and you're more likely to want to take it and accept it, the information or anything coming at you. That's what makes it great.
Well, not great for people wwho don't want to take it.
It's great for people who do want to take it, because it's like one of those things where it's like you're not really bothered by any of the shit that's going on around you. It's kind of like me when I told you the story about my one supervisor when the lab caught on fire, and he's literally like reprimanding me for some shit that I did another day, like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and I'm standing in his office and I see the fire coming down and I'm just chill, and the fire's still coming down the hallway and I'm just chill, and I got to the point where like it was getting kind of hot, and I said, I'm gonna just step into your office real quick because it's getting kind of hot out here and it's kind of cool in your office. Literally what I said. And he looked at me stunned, like, what do you mean it's hot? Like, the temperature just rose a little bit up in here, so I'm just stepping in your office a little bit and shut the door because it's kind of hot out there now. He goes, what do you mean? I go, there's a fire in the lab.
I noticed that.
He goes, you didn't say anything about it? He goes, no, there's not. He goes, I go, yeah, there is. You can check if you want to. He literally looked out the door, jumped on his desk, and was freaking the fuck out. That's literally how I view the red pill now. The same way I view that fire catching up, like getting very, very close to me. I'm very chill about it. I'm very relaxed about it, and it doesn't really bother me anymore.
I'll give you another example. Have you guys, most of you probably have done this. Have you ever needed to do something, but you didn't know how to do it? So that you looked up a YouTube video on that specific thing. Like, say you want to change out a part on your car that you don't know how to change out, right? So then you watch a YouTube video about how to do it, right? then when you go to do it yourself, after you've probably watched the video a couple of times, you feel a lot more comfortable and confident doing it. Well, that's kind of how the red pill is with just dealing with women. But there's one key thing you have to keep in mind is you actually have to go and experience this shit. So otherwise you're just sitting around jerking off with theory. And a lot of the stuff, the red pill stuff that we enjoy now, comes from the PUAs that went out there and did the work and, you know, learned all this stuff about women and also applied, what do you call it? Evolutionary psychology with their experiences, and they started to come together. And that's what made what we now know as the red pill what it is. But the key thing is they got out there and they got the experience and they exchanged notes. So you can read all the books, you can watch as many YouTube videos as you want, but getting out there and doing this shit is important.
You let out the experience, let it be. And the sad part about that, you don't necessarily have to get into a relationship to do it. You can see it through female relatives, you can see it through female friends, you can see it through teachers, you can see it through principals, you can see it through anybody female if you actually pay attention to them.
Yes, just talk to women, and even if you're just on a friendly basis, or like Tico said, if they're a relative or something, but watch how they treat guys that they're really into. It doesn't necessarily have
guys
to
that
be
they're
you.
really not into.
Yes,
like case in point, if you have an aunt that's like, you know, has a person coming over fixing shit for her, but she doesn't do anything in return, you're basically learning red pill firsthand. That's basically the fix it guy. And you also have the money guy, and you also have the other guys basically too. The ride guy, the money guy, the fix it guy, the food guy, the D guy, the tongue guy. I mean, it gets very ridiculous.
Well, with me, you know, I was out with an army buddy of mine. He had come to town, and we went out and ended up dealing with this gal who was a nurse, and she was hot. She was quite attractive, I will say that. Probably crazy because she was a nurse, but
definitely crazy.
You know, she was, you know, she punched me in the stomach as hard as she could, trying to act tough, and I just laughed at her. And then from that moment on, she was just on my arm, and she was wanting me to take her home. But here's the thing: like, if I hadn't had the red pill, I probably would have actually went home with her. Here's why I didn't, because she was too damn drunk, and I was of the opinion she was too damn drunk, and this was going to be a problem.
Yeah.
If I did go home, if I did take her home, so I let her. You know, I was like letting her friend take her home instead.
Yeah, it's kind of like my one friend Bart. He's gay. He actually got Me Too multiple times.
Oh,
about women. Like, and it's like if a gay guy can get Me Too, anybody can get Me Too.
Now, if I was well, sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to get this out there before you continue. If I was a desperate blue pill guy that was just going to take whatever he could get, then yes, I would have absolutely went home with her, fucked her, and it probably would have turned out to be a pain in the ass later. But
so
applied the red pill.
Calling somebody desperate and blue pill, does that demonstrate the level of understanding that you have about the red pill, or does that more or less just come from your own personal interpretation
it's an understanding of what about not only what your understanding of the red pill, but understanding of what blue pill people are capable of doing.
Yeah. Like case in point, like you basically understand. You don't just understand women. You understand how men will react to certain things and situations. This is typically why when we're talking about like the white knights and simps that'll pretty much come to a girl's rescue if she starts crying or if you start like looking like you're about to rough her up. That's typically also red pill too. You basically knowing your surroundings and knowing the people around you and knowing how to react to certain things and situations.
Also, you can still get caught up.
And also, as a red pill man, I know that I can produce other opportunities that, you know, whereas a guy who is desperate and blue pill would just be like, opportunity. I must jump on this because I might not have another one. Right. So then,
Whereas red pill men, they
then-
basically know they can always produce another opportunity,
Right, exactly.
based on any situation or.
Whereas the blue pill guy would, he also have an opportunity to be Me Too'd in that situation.
Yeah. He basically, he'll basically jump on the first thing smoking.
It's kind of like what we say about men. Men
Right.
are opportunistic, basically, for the very fact that they don't get propositioned or approached as much as women do.
Mm-hmm.
So they're typically, a lot of blue pill men or a lot of beta men will basically jump on any opportunity that they could possibly grab for that very reason. Because it's not one of those things that comes very often, or it's not one of those things that comes every year like Christmas. It's like once in a blue moon type thing, or like a comet. Like the comet that comes through every so often is basically like that.
Haley comet.
Yeah.
It like comes through every so often, basically, and you can see it in the sky. It's basically like that with men when it comes to getting women or sex, basically.
Yeah. Well, say I'll use an analogy for you. Say you're kind of in the wilderness, right? And you don't have no water, and you're thirsty, but you ain't dying of thirst just yet. But you're kind of thirsty. And as you walk along, you come to this stagnant pool. Now, you could probably drink from that stagnant pool and relieve your thirst, but there's probably going to be repercussions for that. Whereas it would be much wiser to continue and find some, like, say, running water or a nice, clean, mountain spring, because I'm in the mountains. But you get what I'm saying? It would be much better to have a smarter opportunity rather than just take the one that's there at that moment.
Yeah, it's kind of like that kind of sort of falls into the whole entire thing where we talk about chameleons.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually be duped, or what they refer to as if you're since we're talking about mountains and deserts now, it's basically like a mirage.
Yeah, and you don't talk about Fight Club, or you don't tell her what you're looking for in a woman or your preferences or anything like that.
Never.
Well, the sad part about that, I've actually learned, if you tell a woman what her preferences are, what your preferences are, she'll get mad about that shit.
Yes.
But this will try to go be that.
Yep. Yeah. That's kind of where I was going to go with it.
Yeah.
Like I've done that. I've made that mistake where I've said my preferences, and it just so happened to not be what this girl was. So she got really angry with me. And yes, if she really likes you though, and you say that, then she's going to become a chameleon and try to be that thing that you said you liked. Or if she isn't open about liking you and she hears you say that, then all of a sudden, but that's not really her. She's a fucking chameleon, and that's another way to get in trouble.
Yeah,
let's put it to you that way.
Especially if she's trying to be a chameleon, that means she's very, very into you. So if you just give her the D one time or give her that attention one time, the minute you don't give her that attention, you'll have shit like women busting out the windows out your car, or keying your car, or stalking you, or coming to your work and getting you fired. That's typically how that stuff works. That's what that transpires into.
She's already displaying being deceitful.
Yeah. So that's a red flag and a half right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't experienced. Wow, I haven't experienced that, and I'm so happy I didn't.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't have to think about it. That's a great.
Happy, and you know what? Clap your hands.
This guy.
But that's why I say what I say. It's just not worth the fucking hassle. I'm not. I want a family and everything like that, but I got to be. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to be extremely smart about it.
I want a family just as much as I'd like to have a family, but that's just not happening.
Yeah, well, to each their own. I think everybody, if you want to be a MGTOW monk, that is your choice.
It's not.
If you want to be a MGTOW monk, that's your choice. If you want to be a MGTOW man that that lives off the grid, that's your choice. If you want to be a MGTOW man that does smash and dash, I say take some legal representation with you, because you might need it. Or have a lawyer on retainer for that stuff, just like I tell drug dealers. If you're going to sell drugs and be a criminal, you might want to have a lawyer on retainer.
There's a reason I don't go to strip clubs.
Well,
strip clubs are different.
Well,
That's like
strip clubs. Let me tell you something about strip clubs. Well, number one, you're a GI, so you know about the strip clubs probably quite a bit. Yeah, strip clubs, pawn shops. You know.
Yeah, Win needs to go to more.
Cash advance. And well, if you're a guy, if you're new to the red pill, right? If you're kind of just now kind of getting away from the blue pill, I'll give you a training instrument. So you go to a strip club and make sure it's not like a fucking trashy strip club where everybody has like stretch marks and shit like that.
She's still stripping while she's pregnant and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
she's pregnant. You know,
I've seen that once or twice.
Make sure it's an establishment that has attractive women.
And standards.
Go in there, buy a drink or two, and leave without getting a lap dance or, you know, the private VIP, which is just a lap dance without everybody else watching you. See if you can do it. And here's the challenge, because when you do go in there, you're going to be approached by basically scantily clad women who are going to ask you. They're going to ask you all kinds of shit. They're going to ask you to buy them a drink. They're going to ask you for a lap dance or a VIP dance. And the thing about a lot of guys that are new to this shit is they have trouble saying no to women, especially attractive women.
Here's the funny thing about strip clubs that I'm going to add to that, because I actually worked at one that had both a men's and a women's side. The women actually don't pay for drinks at all. So you're literally buying another drink for no damn reason whatsoever. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. So they're making the club money when they do that. Yeah. That's why they do it. But a lot of these guys, especially the thirsty guys who are transitioning from blue pill to red pill, have a lot of trouble saying no to a woman. It sounds like it should be easy to us, a lot of us here, but in reality, it is hard for those types of guys. So there's your training assignment. Can you go into a strip club, have a couple of drinks,
and walk out?
Not give the strippers any of your money.
Maybe tip the bartender. Maybe tip the bartender, and that's about it. But don't buy no extra drinks. Don't be trying to put money in G-strings. Just focus at the bar, sit at the bar, have a couple drinks, and get your ass out of there. Pretend like it's a regular bar, basically.
I feel like you guys could do that smoothly, but every time I try to put myself in those situations, obviously I don't get lucky. But then it also doesn't feel like it feels like I still like missed out on something. You know, like I did.
Yeah, it's all about willpower.
You missed out on keeping your money in your pocket.
I haven't been to a strip club since 2009.
Damn, yeah, 2005 or 6 for me. Yeah, it would have been 2006 probably.
I've been to multiple strip clubs because like birthday parties and bachelor parties and bachelorette parties, and I've worked at one as a bouncer and a bartender.
Invited.
So I've been to a strip club multiple times, literally.
Yeah, but you'd never just go stag without any like special occasion, just to
No, I'm not going. I typically don't hit on strippers because that's a part of the list of women that Tico Trend family never to date from the Trend family. There's literally like three videos on my channel of a bunch of women that you should never date. Literally on my channel, strippers, newscasters, actresses. Sex workers, dancers, burlesque workers, hairdressers, beauticians, barbers. The list just goes on, basically. So people are sitting there like, well, is there any women on there that's not on that list? I go, well, there's women not on that list. If you were paying attention, that's not on that list. But all those women never date. If they're any type of thing, bartenders, waitresses, hostesses, stewardesses, Hooters girls, voodoo girls, all those girls basically fall on that list. Basically, hairdressers,
but the
newscasters, because they obviously in it for attention. Basically, IG models, Twitch thoughts. The list goes on. Basically,
The thing is, if you want to test your red pillness and your willpower, try that experiment.
Or the poll.
I mean, I'll think about it next time I go. I mean, I'll think about it when I'm home or if there's a strip club nearby.
Just do it. Don't think about it.
Because when I was stationed at Fort Hood, they were very, very aggressive. Like, you know,
there's women that literally come to the bases just to mess with men.
I basically not literally raped, but kind of strip club rape one time in Arizona. But yeah, they will come. They're very aggressive. Like, and when I was stationed at Fort Hood, they'd come up to you, and this was the only place I ever experienced them where they would just come and sit on your lap and do all this shit. And like, they're trying hard to get your money, and you also got to look at it like this: they see you as nothing but a trick ass mark when you're in there.
Yeah,
right. You're just an ATM machine, and they need to find some way to extract that money from you, which is why I say it's great willpower training, because it's a contest of wills. They're trying to gank you for your money, and you're trying not to let them gank you for your money.
Basically,
see?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
You don't get it?
It's highway robbery.
I don't know how to. There's no way that I've like.
They're trying to basically rob you politely.
Yes.
Turn down a woman without just being repulsive, like being attractive and then also not being attractive and also turning them down. It just doesn't compute for me in my head. Like, only way I know how to.
No, it's not even about being attractive. You basically go there with the intent. It's kind of like women when they go to the club. I'm going to the club and I'm going to chill with the girls and I'm coming home. Basically, they're really not going to do all that. There's always going to be something in between that alters their night and makes it different. Sadly, because it's women. But typically, you basically want to go in. You basically want to go in with the mindset that I'm just going out to have a couple drinks and I'm bringing my ass home.
So basically, have your mind made up before you leave the house. What's going to happen?
Yeah, no matter what bar you go to drink.
Yeah,
that's all you're doing basically. You're just going to have a couple drinks.
It's willpower.
And you bring your ass home.
So I'm confused at your confusion here, Yam. I mean,
yeah,
you saying that you don't think that you could go to a strip club and with
I think he's thinking if I go to a club or a bar and I'm looking fly, why am I going to a club or a bar looking fly to basically then just turn down shit basically? I think
that's what I do. No, I would never leave if I'm going to a bar recreationally. I'm not gonna go looking like crap, but I'm also not.
Dress however you feel like dressing. But the point of the matter is, the strippers are trying to get your money.
Yeah,
as much of it as they possibly can extract from you, and you don't want to let them extract. So it's a contest of wills, and can you do it without just being a fucking asshole? It's as simple as saying no thanks, really. But for some guys, that's like almost a bridge too far. Like, oh my God, I told this girl no. Like, it's not rocket science, dude. And they're trying to sell you something that you don't want, and you just say no thanks.
Basically, you've got it's a backhack. It's basically like saying, "Hey, I'll give you some." Basically, what it is like.
Came back in. Somebody new come up?
No,
I don't know. Basically, what it is saying. She walks up to you, "Hey, sweetie, we don't go to the VIP room, or you buy me a drink." It's no, sweetie. Basically, it's like this. No, sweetie. Like, see, I no, sweetie, but I do. But thank you very much. You basically have to make it form it in a way where they're not gonna get. You have to basically word it in a way to where it's flattering, but you're saying no.
Yes, there you go, and that actually ups your status too, because you're telling her you're not.
Up your status makes you more attractive. It makes you more.
Yes.
Attractive.
So what? Are you're practicing with like? If you can do this to like a stripper girl who's good looking and basically practically wearing nothing, then you can. That's the whole point of this, because then that average, Becky or whatever, is trying to con you and manipulate you, you can easily tell her no. That's kind of the whole point of the entire thing.
I got you.
Like I said, you're basically
what I say in one video about making women your friends.
Yeah.
Like, you basically approach women just to make them your friends on purpose. That makes you more attractive because you have people around you, and that person that you just made your friend 9 times out of 10 wants more out of you than just being friends, because you literally just friend zoned the girl.
So your goal being more.
They hate that so much.
Your goal being more attractive is
we've been going on for 2 hours.
Well, I'm not telling you about being more attractive.
Some women on purpose.
being able to tell women no
Product.
does that in and of itself makes you more attractive to women.
You got to be able to say no to yourself first.
Yes, it's
I think that's
training yourself. Yes,
I feel like just by getting up and not showering, you're saying no to women. You know, it's like you're not
And
saying.
don't be like Billy. And
that's just being janky.
Yeah,
don't be like.
That's pointless because the fact of the matter is you
It's
stink and you're still low quality. Whereas if you can tell a woman no at any given time, that ups your value in her eyes because now she knows that she's not above you and she can't control you or manipulate you. So that makes you more of a valuable person.
The average
9 times out of 10, she's going to try harder for no reason whatsoever for the fact that you're not an easy person.
You want to be valued by people that you don't respect.
that's not the point.
That's not the point.
The average frustrated chump out there can't say he can barely say no to other dudes, but he certainly fucking can't say no to a female.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah, with the whole
Right? What
Like,
sets
that's the
you
point.
apart? What
Like,
sets
you
you
wanna be able to
apart
say
is
no.
that you can, and it's easy for you.
It's kind of like me when I say no to all the crazy shit that y'all want to do. It's easy for me to say no for that very reason. Like, no, we're not doing that.
And it's also you saying, "Hey, I'm not a wallet."
Yeah, or I'm not finna get into some shit because y'all want to get into some shit. Same concept. Kind of like when I told Wen, no more, let's talk facts anymore. No.
Yeah,
You
you're
went
old
too damn
enough to
far.
get into
No.
one of these clubs, right?
Same concept.
Is Yam old enough to get into one of these clubs?
Yeah, Jam's old enough to get into one of them clubs.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. Just making sure. You ought to try it, man.
But
And we lost Yam.
We lost him.
Yam, come back. Come back.
Yeah, I recommend he tries this stuff out.
Yeah. So
Because you see, it's much easier for you to say no to anybody else. Because the sad part about strippers is they're basically made to look a certain way. If you go to the right strip clubs and the right establishment, they're made to look a certain way, so you can't tell them no. They're
And they're
basically
very
the creme de la creme of
manipulative.
they're the creme de la creme of the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, well, they're good at what they do. They'll come up to you. They'll maintain, because they get these guys. A lot of the guys that go in there aren't very good with women. Let's just be honest. They don't get much female attention, right? So they'll go up to the guy, they'll look him right in the eye, they'll say, nice things. They'll even like touch him. They'll run their nails across his arm or sit on his
They'll do everything to get it. They do everything to get a rise out of you, basically.
touch. Yeah, but they will use touch, and they will use their body language, and they'll give you eye contact and attention and shit like that a lot of guys aren't used to getting.
True.
And that's how they con you. And Yam, if he's never done this before, he needs to do it, because it is an experience when you're consciously thinking about everything that's going on. It's like wouldn't say a game of chess, but it kind of is strategery, because if you want to do it without being a dick, if you want to do it being amicable, I mean, if you want to be a dick, you can sit on your lap and you might get your ass beat by the bouncers, but I mean, when she sits on your lap and you shove her off, like, get the fuck off me, bitch. You could do that, but it wouldn't turn out very good.
No.
Or you could,
because of white knight society, it wouldn't turn out very well.
Right.
Wow.
But you could also leave on good terms.
Yeah, we've been going for 3 hours. God dang.
I do.
Yam.
We're about to do outros now.
All right.
If Yam can make it back in, so we can.
I wasn't insulting him or anything. I was actually genuinely.
Well, I think he probably fell out. He probably fell out because his phone probably died.
Oh yeah.
If you're having those problems, he's doing it from his phone, not a laptop.
He forgot to charge it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably was running it basically.
His phone probably overheated.
Or that too. There's always that problem when it comes to StreamYards. That's why you should get because OnePluses typically don't overheat in StreamYards.
Oh.
They have a cooling system in them for some odd reason because it's a gaming phone.
No. How do you get a gaming phone?
They got them. Like, there's a lot of gaming phones on the market where it's just like they do all the cool stuff that regular phones do, but it's specifically for gaming.
I've never heard of that before. That's interesting.
Like you basically can take it. It literally has all the top of the line specs in it. It does the fastest Snapdragon chip, has the fastest refresh, has the best screen refresh rate. It has all the crazy stuff, and then even then it'll have like 2 modes. It'll have like regular gaming mode, then it'll have Fanatic mode on it, basically.
Yeah.
Fanatic mode basically uses all the if like case in point, like my phone before I traded up had like 8 gigs of RAM. If you put it in a Fanatic mode, it will use about what, like 5 or 6 gigs of those RAMs. Just to give you the best gaming situation. There he goes. He's back.
He's back.
Armin Yaman.
There you go. There, finally, I'm back. Sorry, guys. I had some
It will
issues.
give you the best. It will give you the best. It will give you the best gaming situation if you have Fanatic mode on your phone.
Not
Pluses do have Fanatic mode on your phone. They have Fanatic mode.
Oh, I wasn't plugged. Yeah, you know what happened then. I wasn't plugged in, and my phone was overheating, and I think it just.
But you might want to get that OnePlus back then.
Huawei.
Yeah. I'm unsure. I'll have to do some.
Huawei's don't overheat though. I've noticed.
Yeah.
No, I never had a problem with that with the Huawei.
And the battery life is actually really nice on those. Well, the batteries.
I'm just lazy, man. I should really just build a PC that's meant to do something I actually want to do on it instead of just making this work. Why am I just so freaking adaptable?
I can send you a laptop like I can send you a computer like I sent Sherm.
Yeah, but I don't treat things that aren't mine. Like I don't feel like you shouldn't send it to somebody who actually will use it.
I got a Republica gaming laptop that I use for. No, never mind.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if the end or if you guys are still talking because I missed a huge chunk of that.
Not really. We were basically waiting for you to come back so we can do outros.
Wrapping up that topic, and that's about it. Yeah.
We're basically talking about you basically should do it for the fact that you're able to say no more often and easily without being manipulated into saying yes.
Yeah,
that's my favorite line where I say I like the word no. Like, Tika, do you ever say yes, no?
Because here's the thing, they're going to try, when you go in there.
I just don't believe it. I don't think they're going to try any of that stuff on me. I don't
let that stuff.
It's all about spending money, basically. It's
they
kind
will
of like,
touch you. They will do all
and if you're like a short Asian dude.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It doesn't matter who you are. If you got money,
it doesn't matter who you are.
It doesn't matter who you are. If you got money to spend, they want you to spend it. Think of it like advertisements. What do they use to advertise everything? They use women.
They're pretending to be. They're almost taking up like a pseudo girlfriend, right?
Yeah. They're basically being chameleons, and they're literally being chameleons in front of your eyes.
Right. Well, they know that a lot of the guys that go into strip clubs, especially if you go in by yourself, they are gonna presume you don't have much experience with women, you don't have a girlfriend, so you're gonna have this huge bullseye on you. So they're gonna come up to you, like I said, they'll maintain eye contact with you, they'll use a certain voice tone, they'll touch you,
body language,
they'll run their fingers like their nails on your arm, or maybe even sit on your lap, depending on the establishment and their particular rules. But they will touch you, and they will try to convince you to spend money on them. And
case in point, certain establishments, you're not allowed to touch them on stage or in a room, but if you're at the bar, for some odd reason, touching is fine.
That's part of women's manipulation in the first place, is to because they know if they touch a guy, the guys who know game, that's part of their game, is it basically is a reversal, and guys touching the girl, and it gets certain thoughts in their head and everything like that. So of course they know you're vulnerable, so they're going to try to manipulate you, and the whole point is being able to resist and say no without being a dick, without get off me, bitch, who the fuck are you, none of that type of stuff.
Don't go full Tico trend, in other words.
There's still
don't go Tico trend. be fairly polite and
Well,
amicable
it's
and
like
stand your
cringe.
ground.
Yeah, but there's like there's a level of cringe to it, though, right? Where you can't like feel, you can't help but feel the awkwardness of the situation. Like
Well, the
even
sad
if
part
you,
about that is it's not even awkward because it's something that typically would happen naturally, but only it's being manipulated. That is actually being manipulated and
What do
forced
you
to happen.
mean
Basically.
cringe? What do you mean by cringe and awkward?
like, just if a girl doesn't really want to, like in the stripper situation, I kind of get that it's like what you guys are talking about. You have to like be able to like have the desire be there, but also like not let it consume you. Sort of, is
You
that
don't
what you
even
guys are
have to
talking
have
about?
a desire to be there. The whole point.
You don't have to have a
you're
desire to
there
be there. The point is just to go there to see if you can actually not spend more money than you already have.
Yeah, it's just
How is that a
It's just
Oh, so
training,
that's
dude.
yeah.
That's all it really
It's
is.
basically like, think of it like the one Pokimane, or was it a Lenity stream where the dude literally spent his rent money on a stream, a Twitch star. Like, you don't want to be that guy, basically.
Exactly.
I
said, being able to tell a woman no is
a very
good
powerful
sign.
thing.
Yeah, it's very powerful. In fact, it actually makes you more attractive.
Yeah. The irony is it's funny because, like, the sad part about that, we talk about women, but the sad part about that, even telling a little girl no,
they learn this shit. That's what you're competing. That's what you don't understand. What you're competing against. These girls learn how to manipulate men
at a very young age.
At a very, very young age. So that's
because the sad part about that, the first man that they manipulate is going to be daddy all the time.
And you know what you're trained to do as a male in modern society? Give the girl what she wants. Be nice.
This is why there's always those placards that say "Daddy's little princess" or things like that, because typically girls know that they can pretty much override their mothers by going to daddy. They know this. It's an inherent trait. You can always if mom tells you no, daddy will tell you yeah. So, have you ever heard that term before? Like, if your mom doesn't let you go to the party, 9 times out of 10, daddy will let you go to the party, or daddy will let you go do what you want to do.
But
if you spin it in a way to make it sound like reasonable to daddy, basically, he'll let you do it.
But this is even more extreme because in this situation, they're using their sexuality to get what they want from you.
Whereas your daughter's using her cuteness to get what she wants from you. And she knows that she's daddy's little girl. It's kind of like, remember when I told you the story about Talia, my daughter Talia, when she got an attitude with me and I turned her upside down and threw her in the bushes because she got an attitude with me, and she cried and she said, "Oh, but I'm daddy's little girl. I'm daddy's princess." Yeah. I broke her little heart, basically, because she thought she can get away with being an asshole and found out very quickly she can't get away with being an asshole. The sad part about that is she acted much differently towards me after that situation. She knew that daddy wasn't playing anymore. Never once heard anything smart out of her mouth since then. Now she's more compliant, and she's more of a daddy's girl and less of a brat, if you know what I mean. So she went from being a brat to actually being kind and nice and all this other stuff now.
An attitude adjustment.
Yeah, let's cut this one because it's already going. It's going on for 3 hours, man.
Cut it. The one that you're trying to make it go longer is the one that's cutting it.
Hey, look, I still got hours of service to sleep.
Yeah, I know.
I don't care. You don't have a choice.
I don't care. You don't have a choice.
As your boss, I'm legally allowed to keep you 2 hours over your scheduled time.
Okay. Now you sound like somebody at work now, for real, that you don't want to work.
All right. So don't be mad when my truck's in a ditch upside down.
To be assertive. I'm learning how to be assertive from people.
Don't be sad when my truck ends up in the ocean or some shit because I fell off a bridge because I fell asleep behind the wheel.
It's Florida. You'll probably find a ditch somewhere. It's some nice,
or you'll probably find a sinkhole.
Or you probably will just crash into a strip club, and then all of a sudden,
there's really like 7 on every block or stretch.
Very hard to say no when your legs are, crushed. It's very hard to say no.
You're simple now. Because the sad part about that, if you're in Tampa, Florida, and on Del Mabry, there's about like 7 strip clubs in a matter of a block.
Man, I passed about 4 or 5 of them on the road that has truck parking.
Yeah,
now, what
know
type
where to
of
put 'em.
practice is it? What type of practice is it to always be available to do that, but never doing it like Wind? Would you consider he's like a master of the art of saying no?
Wynn stumbles upon it by accident.
Yeah, for some strange reason.
Whereas we see it, and it's like half the time I'm not even trying, and it just happens. And sometimes I'm just being me, and it's like, okay, that went really wrong. And
I'll be honest with you, before
I'm trying to go.
Hey, look.
This is all I said. This is all I'll say. If I hadn't got linked up with Tico, I probably would be part of the down game division. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just being honest with myself. I'm just looking at this thing objectively.
The juice box kid was an accident. The juice box incident was an accident.
The way that I think, and I don't know, just like my outlook on life, I guess the way I grew up is like when he would say like some people need a proper appraisal, I always felt that that's what I needed, because I always felt like, I just don't look at myself the same way people see me. I must be delusional, or I must be crazy or something.
Well,
so when
here's the thing with me. It's like you'll always hear me say it. I'm a 6 with extraordinary charisma.
Right.
I always say that.
I hear you say that. Yeah.
There's a reason why I say that, because I want to keep myself grounded. Though I know I can be higher and I can be a higher number, I typically don't want to be that higher number, because I don't want to get full of myself, and I don't want to be out here thinking I'm the shit. Basically.
Yeah, dude. But you walk around in strip clubs and just turn chicks down. How does that make you? How does that make?
I've turned chicks down at hospitals, so no. I turned down chicks everywhere, basically, not just at strip clubs, but I've turned down chicks all over the place.
It doesn't.
Out with friends.
But the strip club is a little bit different, though, man. Is what we're trying to tell you. Like
it's a controlled environment.
What did she actually give you? Like, you're turning her down, but what does she actually give you? She teases you a little bit and then charges you.
She teases you to take your money. Yeah. It's basically like, think of it like this. It's basically like being in an actual marriage or a relationship.
You get sent home with blue balls and shit.
Yeah, basically. Think of it like this: you had a good night with your girl, took her out on a trip, dropped some money on her, took her to like the Florida Keys or something like that.
Ooh, fancy.
The hotel. She get back to the hotel, she got a headache. Same concept at a strip club. So you ain't getting no play at a strip club, basically, unless you're really, really good and that's what you really want to do. Then that's a whole nother story that we're not going to get into.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's for Win. That's Win's channel. That's Win's expertise.
But that's a whole nother story and a whole nother problem within itself. But basically, it's basically setting you up for relationships, and it's setting you up to say no, and not be manipulated out of your money at the same time, or learning to say no. It's kind of like, think of it like this: you ever go to a bar and there's a cute bartender, and for some odd reason you spend more money at the bar than you wanted to?
No, that's never happened to me.
Whatever.
But
it's basically a way to say no, basically, without being manipulated or swindled out of your resources. It's kind of like when we talk about resources. Women come at you for your resources, no matter what capacity they're in. They're basically coming at you for your resources. So a stripper literally are coming at you for your resources. They need you to spend more money so the club can get more money, and they can get more money. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you tell them no,
they pretend to like you the whole time.
They pretend to like you the whole entire time to take your money away.
Yes.
Like, think of it. Like, how many women have you known in your life that literally hit on you just to get something out of you? And when they get that out of you, they disappear.
Yeah, that's it. One of the most common manipulation tactics, and they'll say they'll come to you and they'll be like, "Hey, handsome," blah 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 blah, and "Hey, what's up?" And then they use that as an opener, and then next thing you know, they're asking for something. Well,
yeah,
like I said, the average frustrated chump will say yes and give them what they want, even though they get nothing out of the fucking deal.
Here's the best way to look at it. Yeah, anytime a woman's being nice, she's being nice for an ulterior motive. unless you're dating her. Well, even if you're dating her, 9 times out of 10, she's being nice for an ulterior motive. She wants something from you, basically.
What the red pill?
Anytime a woman is extra nice to you, either she wants to be deed down or she wants your resources. Most times she wants your resources or whatever you have, basically. When they get it from you, you'll watch that slowly shift away from them being nice to you to them being a dick again, if you know what I'm saying.
Stop talking to you sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I feel kind of lucky if that ever happened. If I'm not really desirable with the women around me, I feel kind of lucky, you know. Or if I'm inexperienced compared to the people around me, I feel like, you know.
Well,
like,
no, it's not even being an experience.
I lucked out.
That is 9 times out of 10 it probably happened, and you haven't really realized that it happened to you.
Let me tell you, you want the experience still. And I'll tell you why real quick. I know we got to end this soon, but see, you're gonna sit around and I'm glad I don't have this experience. And then one day there's gonna be this girl that just tricks you like a motherfucker. And she will
Grace.
She will get you to go all
Grace.
in. She will manipulate you into going all in, and she'll think that you will think that like she really loves you and you really love her and all this stuff, and you're gonna say fuck that red pill shit them guys were saying back in the day.
Grace.
This is real.
No. Why you do that, Tico? Why you go there? Why you go there?
Yeah.
Why for do you go there, man? You know that ain't.
Right. Well, guess what?
Wow.
It's a pretty witty comeback. I get it. It's pretty clever. It's
all
pretty
I know
clever.
is like, guys, this lemonade. Hey, look here.
I don't know anything about.
I normally don't advertise lemonade, but this lemonade right here, this lemonade right here, good lemonade. Some damn good lemonade.
Lemonade. Well, I don't know any details about that shit, so that's an insider thing. But
well, no, that's not an insider thing. That's actually something that Wynn just came up on a spot with.
Okay. Well, anyhow, the point is, if you don't have experience, you're gonna fall prey to something like that. You can say that's not gonna happen all you want. These girls, if you don't have experience with them, they can smell they can smell a sucker a mile away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no amount of red pill theory is gonna, it might help, but it won't protect you fully until you have some experience.
Yeah, like if you don't have the experience, it won't protect you from it. Like, think of it like this. Remember when you first met me, you were going to work, and women were just trying to talk to you at work, and you were ignoring the hell out of them, or you weren't talking to them?
Yeah, right. And then the more I hang out with Wynn, now no one talks to me.
Same concept with women, the stripper, basically.
Yeah, I get it. You're having trouble wrapping your head around like, oh, there's this attractive girl giving you attention. Why wouldn't you play ball? But it's
no, that's not it at all. I just don't get attention.
He's basically trying to.
But you will. That's the thing.
Saying, I don't understand why you're going to go be attractive and then turn down a woman. She's basically doing the same damn thing to you for no reason. If you go to a strip club, you're going to be targeted. You're going to be targeted by a stripper to basically spend as much money as humanly possible. That is her job, to get you to spend as much of your money as humanly possible. If you're ever in a relationship, that's typically a woman's job, to get you to spend as much money as humanly possible. The only flip side to that is if you're in a good relationship, she'll spend money too and invest in you as just as much. If you're not in a good relationship, you'll be spending all the money. You see what I'm saying?
Well, also there are women that target guys.
Yeah, that look like suckers.
They look like suckers or don't seem like they have much experience, and they will lay it on thick, and they will really pretend. I'm almost talking like this happened to me before. Yeah, but those were my blue pill days. But yes, they will lay it on real thick. They'll say the right things. They'll do certain things, and you will have trouble if you don't have experience. If you haven't had experience or you haven't walked through the path of pain, is what I call it, you may fall prey to it. And that's my concern.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to do anything to ease your concerns. I think that it's definitely something where I think a lot of people should look at people like me and feel worried. you know, but like a level of comfort because the
I'm
lack
not
of
sure
like
where
of a
you're
threat.
going
I'm not
with
really a
that.
threat, you know.
I'm not
Well,
sure
it's
where
not,
you're
it's
going.
not even
kinda
about
like-
being a threat. The sad part about that is it doesn't matter. You're missing the whole entire point. It doesn't matter if you think you're not the most attractive person in the world. If you go to a strip club and you get hit on by a stripper, it's because she wants you to spend resources. It's kind of like any typical woman that. It's kind of like what I say about women that randomly walk up on me and talk to me. Am I on an episode of Punk or something? What's going on?
Yeah. Like I said, you think that this, I don't know. You seem like you think
it
you're
doesn't
just
matter
not
how
attractive
attractive you are.
whatsoever. But
It doesn't matter how attractive you are or what you look like. It's all about what you look like to them. And if you look like a snack to them and they can take advantage of you, you're going to be eaten.
yeah, or they
Yeah, I
will
know.
attempt
Yeah,
it.
that's
They will
true.
attempt it.
There's no way
to avoid looking like a snack.
Not
Well,
necessarily.
there is. I'm saying no.
Number one, not being a snack. Period.
There's that too. And learning to say no.
Exactly. And if you don't have the experience, you're not going to know any better. It's kind of where I'm getting at. Just like if you want to get strong, you lift weights and you train your muscles. You also have to train your mind and your willpower.
You also got to train to say no sometimes too, because not everybody can say no and it can roll off your tongue easily like it does mine.
No.
No.
See, you're saying it now, but I mean, it's totally different context when you got this
You're in a situation. It's like you can say it easily now, but when you're in a situation, the question is how would you react to it? It's kind of like what I say about people that always talk about if I was there, I'd have did this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Then they get in that situation, they look like everybody else.
Yeah, the armchair warrior or quarterback,
yeah.
or whatever you want to say. I'm just telling you, you think that it won't happen to you or that you're not attractive enough. No, there's a possibility.
No, I think about it. It's happened to
Case in
it's
point,
happened to me before.
if you look at Simps and Blue Pill Simps and White Knights,
Yeah.
there's a reason why they're friends now. They're being used for a particular skill or a particular asset that they own.
Yeah, and what I'm
And
saying
they're not
is,
attracted to the woman, but she'll make them feel like she's attracted to them just so she can keep them around and keep
I guess
on
it's
fighting
because
her completely thing.
yeah, I guess it's because I use you guys to regulate my emotions. I feel like I'm not going that I wouldn't ever fall for something like that. I think that's what it is. It's like I feel protected even though I haven't really
it's a false.
experienced it.
It's yes.
Yeah.
You feel protected, but it's totally different when she's in your face, when she's practically putting her tits in your face, and she's running
It's
her
a fundamental
hand.
difference
But
between
that's happened to me. Yeah, that is
it's a
happened to me.
fundamental difference between feeling secure and actually being secure.
Yeah.
You don't know until you try it. Like a lot of guys can say, "Well, I'll be a cop, or I could be a soldier." Never ever even done anything close to that
Like my
experience.
favorite is the one, Tico, you should hook me up with the people at your company. I want to be a mercenary. Dude,
And
you wouldn't
then-
think.
Well, I think it's like it's so unorthodox. Like with the girl, like if I'm dating a
That's the
girl,
point of the Red Pill. It's the
if I
teacher
feel
that
unsure,
you
if I
think
feel
outside the
unsure
box.
about dating a girl, I'll literally just call Tico while I'm on the date in front of her. And I'll be like, "Hey, Tico, this girl just said something like this. Should I stay here or should I leave?" And then Tico will somewhat be like, yeah, that's kind of wrong. She kind of sounds like a sheep, but I would just stick with it and go along with it and see where it goes from here. Or like, or I'll be talking to him on the phone and he's like, yeah, pretty much. I figured this would last, or this wasn't gonna last this long. It lasted longer than I expected it.
Well,
and then I know not to be like, I know
it's
not
good to have friends that you can rely on, but you have to remember you can't always rely on people. Maybe what if Tico doesn't answer the phone because he's busy doing something? Then what?
Yeah.
Or what if you're in an area in the dead zone where you can't call her? What if the girl's around
Well,
you?
you're not okay. Relax.
You have to go to the bathroom.
I'm not dating college sports. I'm not gonna date some college sports or something. All right, it's like
Yeah. Like
But-
for me,
Like, if the girl never leaves your side and you can't call me?
what
I
if she?
wouldn't
What
do this.
if
If
she?
I
What if she
can't
follows
call
you?
her, if I can't call somebody when I'm next to a girl, why am I?
What if she's so clingy that you can't even go to the bathroom
right.
without her?
Please,
Wow, that's a pretty hardcore hypothetical. But the
That
point
is.
I'm trying to get to you,
Yeah,
get
Wayne,
into
come
your
on.
head is like you have to be self-reliable. Now it's good to have friends who you can call up, and if they got a help you hide the body or something. Good to have friends like that. But you also have to, as part of,
or in this case, it's good to
Yeah, I
retain
realize
the
that.
information that you learn from the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I didn't have you guys, there's not a thing in me that would say, you know what, you should go out and start dating somebody. Like it's mostly just like a community of guys that we all have. I gotta have something to not only bring to the table, but it's also helping. It's also like, oh, I can only do this if I have help, because I don't think that I'm like equipped to do it. I've tried it on my own and it didn't go as well. It seems like it goes better when
Think
you have.
of this is a support group, but you have to be able to also handle things for yourself, man. Like,
Sure.
If you had to get into a fight, would you just like hide behind Tico and like Tico?
No, yeah, but
you probably wouldn't.
I'm not going to start a fight. Like I said, I'm
Well,
tough.
that's not the
I'm-
point. This is just a hypothetical to get you to think about the overall point, right? If you had to get into a fight, you'd probably want to be able to throw hands yourself rather than hide behind Tico or Wind. And the same thing applies to like other experiences in life. Now it would be cool if like you were getting ready to get in a fight and like Tico was there and he had your back. That would be cool, but that doesn't mean that's going to happen all the time or every time.
There's not a plane or teleportation fast enough.
Yeah, we're not in the space age just yet,
right?
It might come around in my lifetime. You never know. I might be able to just beam people over to my side to help me.
That would be cool.
In which case,
you need to teach me that technology so we can patent it and make it secret.
Yeah, exactly. Make a fortune.
Yeah, then I wouldn't need to throw hands. Then what?
Well, you would still need to throw hands so I got there.
Well, I watch Star Trek. I know the overhead. I know how to.
Yeah, but what if the transporter malfunctions and I end up in a pile of tissue?
Well, shit. Life gives you tissue.
This guy.
Spray out, man. Make that shit go pop.
Man, you gotta stop trolling, bro. Save that for your trolling show. Trolling the trolls.
For real?
No, really, but I mean,
yeah,
I'm like a case study for the bleeding edge. Everyone, I kind of do trying to throw it for content. I get what you guys are saying. Yeah. I just am not like I'm never in a position mentally where I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do this to improve myself. I'm just never really like that. So I'm like that when I feel like I'm like supported, but by myself, it's a different story. So
he's like, yeah, I'm not. Basically, him by himself is like, yeah, I'm not doing that shit at all. I'm not doing myself into that shit at all.
I feel like
it's like, okay, let's go try this shit.
In the future, I'm gonna become one of those like throw money kind of guys. Like if it's a problem, it's just gonna be like throw money.
It's basically like gambling, basically at a strip club. You basically want to walk out and the house not take you dry, basically.
Yeah. And I feel like I'll have to learn. I'll have to make some mistakes before I learn. Like there's just nothing. There's some things you just can't tell people.
You will make this. That's the whole point, though. Like, okay, so you tried this experiment. Let's say you tried this experiment, and one of these women gets you, and you're like, "Fuck, she got me. I got it." And then you decide, well, I'm going to try it again, and this time I'm going to do it. See, this is how she got me, or you just, I didn't have strong enough willpower that time, but this time, motherfucker, I'm not spending a dime on these strippers. Right? That's part of remember what I said before. You living life, you're going to fail. It just happens. The point is that you learn from your failures.
Yeah.
I always say that, it's not a total loss if you learn something from it. It might suck and it might feel shitty.
Yeah.
But if you learn something from it, you can actually take solace in the fact that you learned something from the situation that you were in. It's going to suck though, yeah. Don't get me wrong, it's going to suck. But learning something is the general basis for everything. I always said that, it don't matter what the situation is. As long as you learn something from it, it wasn't for nothing. If you don't learn anything from it, then it's a problem. You have a problem with learning something, and you're probably going to repeat. You're going to be doing repeat the same mistake over and over again. But if you learn from it, you're less likely to repeat the mistake, and you're more likely to not get yourself into the very situation that you got yourself into last time.
Yeah. And,
it's kind of like getting lost. When you get lost, you're just lost.
Infamous is like, let's just end this.
It sucks.
Yeah.
but
But
the next time you try that same route again, you're better at it because you remember the way that you took to actually get lost. You don't take that way again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Over the river and through the woods.
Yeah. And you may have the personality where you would like to live in a bubble and not have to deal with any of this
Like
shit,
if there's one
right?
construction thing somewhere, then it's just, I'm late to work that day.
It could be bubble boy.
Right.
But the reality is that's not happening anytime soon, and you have to live life.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah.
Bubble or not.
By with the way things are. Yeah. It's just like it can't. I got to get slapped into submission, I guess. Double I used to say I was a glutton for pain. That's kind of my.
We're gonna have to have Tico and Win take you to the strip club and.
Yeah, if I go with them,
Where's the problem with him? If he goes with us, he probably won't do it. But if he goes by himself, he probably will. Because I'm probably going to make a video about it later. Like, making it rain and shit.
Dude, I've never made.
I'm gonna make it, and I'm gonna make fun of you.
$40 on one drink.
Maybe that's how it's got to go down. Maybe these guys got it for your first time. These guys got to take you.
That's what I hate. That's what I dislike about the master. They're like, no, you can't have any bad experiences. You're our future. You need to be good.
You gotta have bad experiences. Don't listen to people that say you can learn from a lot of people's mistakes. Yeah, there's people that can learn. Like, it's all about your learning situation. There's people that learn from firsthand experience. There's people that learn from looking at something, and there's people that learn from reading something. You know what I mean? So 9 times out of 10, like me, I can look at something and read it and learn it, or look at something and learn it. I don't really have to do the firsthand experience thing. I can do the firsthand experience thing if I have the time to, or if I want to be bothered by it, I can do it. But typically, I can pretty much read it, look at it, and learn it.
Yeah,
on the spot, on the fly. That's typically where you want to be. You never in the best way to learn it is hands-on. Basically, getting yourself in a situation or being in a situation, you basically learn from it, and it kind of sucks. Yeah. It sucks more than just looking at it like. Because the person looking at it like me, like, that guy got used.
Yeah. Well, anyone that tells you that they can shield you from bad experience or
no, they can't.
Didn't have any bad experiences in life, that's a complete lack of wisdom. No matter what any of us on this panel say to you, you're going to have bad experiences. What we're trying to do is prepare you.
Yeah. It's basically like case in point, like taking self-defense. The reason why you're taking self-defense is so you can defend yourself.
And you're going to.
It may not always work out in your favor. It may not always be the best fight in the world, or it may not always go your way. But the fact of the matter is, you're prepared now.
I like that. That's a good note to end on, I think.
Yeah. Because we're heading towards 4 hours. It's time to go.
I'm serious.
I told Win backstage, I was like, if this one's long, I'm just gonna let it go long. There's no point. I'm not gonna cut it off. But maybe that was a little insensitive to the people listening.
Yeah, because Billy needs to go to bed and take his daughter to school tomorrow.
Yeah.
Toughen up, all right, guys. You're gonna make some mistakes out there. You have to be able to handle it. Like staying in a live stream too long. But yeah, we'll go ahead and close it out.
All right.
Who
wants to start with the outros?
Win, you can start first.
All right.
Billy, you're a live man.
Infamous can go next. Billy, you go.
Yo.
Okay, he's up. I was about to say.
Hey, Actually, let Billy go first. Let Billy go first.
Okay.
All right. Skepticism. Be critical of others as well as the red pill itself, and the truth will remain standing.
Good one.
Yes.
Who's next?
Mr. Infamous Rifle, you would so kindly as to.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'd say I agree with what Billy just said. Be skeptical of everything. Always seek the truth. And don't be a fool. Done.
Done.
And don't be scared to learn something.
Mr. Windy.
This is Redpill in the Wind. Don't be a part. Don't be around the insanity and watch the insanity. Never be a part of the insanity.
Be the insanity.
This is Baron Yao. Always be skeptical, even of your friends trying to get you to go to a strip club because you know that shit is whack.
This guy trolling again.
Always be perfect. Never try to make yourself uncomfortable. That shit is also whack.
He's really cutting up now.
And take everything with a grain. What else am I gonna do? Oh yes, guys, you guys are right. I don't need to go to a strip club.
No, I ain't saying that.
They're gonna get you and take you.
No. I don't want to. No, I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to do that. Let's not do that.
Let's not do that.
As he downs a fifth of vodka and dare me to drive.
This guy. Okay,
All right, Tico. Take it away.
This is Tico Tread. Basically, just question a lot of stuff. Question everything. Anytime somebody tells you to do something, they tell you have to do it. Question it.
Exactly.
Because it's just unnatural for somebody to force you to do something, especially if they believe in my body, my choice. Question it. Never be a follower. Always be a leader. Always be willing to improve yourself, and always be willing to improve upon yourself and make yourself a better person. Treat yourself like milk. Do not spoil yourselves, and just don't overindulge, and never overindulge yourself. Basically.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Hold on.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Perfections, ooh, Sin City, Montana, Coke boys, ooh, we run the city, homie tryna keep up, ooh, they going broke, I'll finish your career, ooh, get a rope,
Warning, 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 warning.
Dope money, ooh,
That Montega.
in the spot getting guap, ooh,
That's hard labor.
in the club popping bottles,
Yeah, we blowing that sour.
handful of real niggas.
Rest of these niggas cowards.
How you want it?
How you want it?
Hands gun or the knife.
Soon as your man see the barrel,
He gon' run for his life.
bullets flying.
Bullets flying.
You?
I like that intro, but I gotta change that intro.
Red Pill Papa, you don't stop. The rocket to the bank. Yeah, you guys should make a parody of that Carrie Underwood song before he simps. That would be good.
I could do that.
A little trouble for the next guy. The next guy that simps.
It ain't gonna be me.
Oh, I haven't even ended it yet. Okay, crap. Let me end.